are now all set to inaugurate BJP's new residential complex at Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay Marg, and we're expected to see the party's general secretary, minister-level leaders, all using this residential complex constructed right in front of the BJP headquarters in the same locality. Now, reportedly, the complex will also be used for party meetings and for senior campaign leaders of the party. All right. On that note, it's a wrap from me here in Bengaluru. I'm going to bring you all the latest updates, the most accurate angles coming in from the state of Karnataka as the election season heats up. Do watch out. Monday to Friday, 6:30 p.m. with me, Nabila Jamal, State of War, Karnataka. Thank you.
Arnab, after Jio's telecom price wars, what's the Reliance game plan in the FMCG space?
Given the kind of action that is happening in the market, because Reliance has already invested over $1.1 billion in acquisition of brands and partnerships as per a recent report, and it is expected by Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan that it is going to invest another $4 billion in over the next 3 to 5 years, which is equivalent to 33,000 crore in today's currency terms. So that is a significant investment that they are making, and market competitors in the market like other leading players, FMCG players, are obviously taking note. Like for example, very recently, Mr. Varun Bedi has said that he is closely watching the development that Reliance and the new products that are coming up from the behemoth. And secondly, if you look at the Reliance's game plan, they have not only purchased new brands or launched new products, but they have also hired some of the key industry veterans. Like for example, they have hired Mr. K. Krishna Kumar to head their beverages portfolio, which now includes Campa Cola, a well-known brand from 1970s and 80s. So, of course, industry competitors like HUL and others are obviously watching the developments very closely, and given the kind of price that Reliance is offering in competition to these leading multinationals, of course, there could be some price cuts by them as well, the industry insiders tell us. And if you notice that HUL, after cutting pack sizes significantly over the last 2 years due to inflation, they have now started to increase their pack sizes in terms of grammage. They have started to increase the size of their packs at the same rate of late in the last one and a half months.
Junior NTR's upcoming project NTR 30 has been finally launched, and the opening ceremony took place in Hyderabad in the presence of the cast and crew. Celebrities like S.S. Rajamouli, Prashant Neel, director Kortala Siva, female lead Janhvi Kapoor and music composer Anirudh Ravichandar were also part of the event. This will also mark Janhvi's Telugu debut opposite Junior NTR. The first clap for the film was performed by RRR filmmaker S.S. Rajamouli. The camera was switched on by Kortala Siva, while Prashant Neel oversaw the first shot. For the Muhurat ceremony, Junior NTR kept it simple and casual in white, whereas Janhvi went all desi in a green Kanjivaram sari. Junior NTR, who's basking in the success of his last film RRR, returned to India after attending the 95th Academy Awards and was mobbed by a sea of fans at the Hyderabad airport. Not long ago, the song from RRR, Natu Natu, had scripted history by becoming the first Indian song to win the Oscars, and Junior NTR turned heads with his Gaurav Gupta customized ensemble on the red carpet. Janhvi Kapoor, on the other hand, was last seen in Milli, and now apart from NTR 30, she also has Bawal and Mr. and Mrs. Mahi in her kitty.
Good evening. You're tuned into Mission 2024 here on India Today. I'm Akshata Nandagopal. This evening, let's cut straight across to the protests that are taking place at the Red Fort in the national capital, where you've got Congress leaders gathering for a massive torch protest, and already chaotic scenes playing out as several senior Congress leaders are being detained right now, not being allowed to stage this protest outside the Red Fort in the national capital. Scenes and images coming in right now of the massive security deployment. As soon as Congress leaders gathered there, they've immediately been taken into custody. The cops making it very clear permission hasn't been granted for this kind of an agitation. There is meant to be a mega torch march, a mashal march, as the Congress put it, outside the Red Fort in the national capital over the disqualification of Rahul Gandhi. And these images that you see here, senior Congress leader Harish Rawat being taken into custody, being detained by the police as they continue to chant slogans. We understand that effigies were also burnt as these leaders gathered there, but they are now, as you can see on your screens, being taken away from the spot outside the Red Fort. They're clearing the area immediately because there's no permission, it looks like, being granted for this kind of an agitation. Scores of Congress workers have gathered there in an attempt to lash out and to take on the Modi government over the disqualification of Rahul Gandhi. Let's play out for you that particular sequence of Harish Rawat as he's speaking to the media while being detained.
Media please,
And we're cutting across to live images coming in right now from the national capital, where Prime Minister Modi is inaugurating the BJP's swanky new residential complex as well as auditorium. This is in fact right next to and right in front of the BJP headquarters on Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay Marg in Delhi. This complex that you see on your screens that the Prime Minister is unveiling right now will be used for big party meetings for senior campaign leaders of the party. This is Prime Minister Narendra Modi there unveiling the residential complex, accompanied by BJP President JP Nadda, Home Minister Amit Shah, the who's who of the BJP currently present for this grand unveiling. You've got, in fact, all of them present for this inauguration event. And this building, this residential complex, which also houses a massive auditorium, is right opposite the BJP headquarters. Now, in fact, the Prime Minister, we're being told, is also going to be participating in the Bhumi Pujan program for the BJP Delhi State Office. That's also, in fact, very close to the BJP headquarters. These are the live images that we're getting to you right now of BJP Chief JP Nadda and Prime Minister Narendra Modi making their way through the new residential complex, unveiling this massive building along with the auditorium that has been, in fact, constructed right opposite the BJP headquarters. You can see all the senior BJP leaders in attendance for this particular moment. We understand that all of your high-stake meetings for elections, your massive party gatherings, they will take place right now in this residential complex. So get set to see a lot of live images that come in from this residential complex in the run-up to 2024. So this will also have an auditorium, which is what it looks like the Prime Minister is making his way towards, accompanied there by BJP President JP Nadda. The entire area is packed, the hall completely full with BJP leaders, all of whom have gathered. It's expected that the Prime Minister could also speak at this event. Earlier today, there was a huddle of the BJP in which, in fact, the Prime Minister also, in fact, directed the BJP on how to take forward the election fight. But let's focus on these live images of the Bhumi Pujan that is going to be kicking off. This is for the state BJP office in the national capital. Let's in fact see if there's an audio that we can cut across to right now. All right, we'll connect with our reporter in just a bit and get you those live updates that are coming in right now from the venue. This is the residential complex of the BJP, right opposite the BJP headquarters. And you can see that the Prime Minister there is taking part in the puja that's being conducted right now in the premises. Aishwarya Paliwal is joining us with more details on this. Aishwarya, a brand new swanky residential complex for the BJP. We can see the Prime Minister right now conducting the puja at the location.
Well, the Prime Minister, the Home Minister Amit Shah and all the top leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party, along with some of the very enthusiastic, Karyakartas, as you can see in the back, the chants that are taking place, all these chants are taking place because the Karyakartas at the moment are very, very happy. Let me tell you what's taking place inside the building that you see right behind me with the Bharatiya Party flags. That's the building in which the Prime Minister at the moment is, and this is a swanky new building, Akshita, right opposite the main headquarters of the BJP on the DDU mark. So a very prominent location. The chants, Akshita, if you can hear, are the chants from the Karyakartas, the BJP Karyakartas who are present at the spot. They are chanting Narendra Modi and they're also chanting Bharat Mata Ki Jai. And inside is the place where, the top leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Akshita, are sitting. So definitely this is a milestone because this entire building is for the people who work for the Bharatiya Janata Party. And the Prime Minister, in fact, when he came inside, he also met the people who built this building. So that's also something that the Prime Minister did. And in just a couple of minutes from now, Akshita, we will see the puja taking place. This is a swanky new buildings. From what we understand, there are close to 50 rooms where people will be allowed to come and stay. And apart from that, there will also be a lot of centers inside this building, bang opposite the headquarters of the BJP, Akshita.
Okay, so the puja right now, Aishwarya, we can tell you, is happening as we speak. You can see the Prime Minister as well as BJP President JP Nadda there taking part in the Bhumi Pujan that's underway. We're also hearing, Aishwarya, that besides this residential complex, a brand new Delhi BJP office is also being inaugurated. This is for the state BJP.
Well, because, the old office was a little away from where the main headquarters is, and that's the reason, keeping in mind the big 2025 elections, that's the time when there will be an election in the national capital. So keeping all those things in mind, the BJP has now decided to give space in this very complex to Delhi BJP. And also, why it's very important, Akshita, because the main office of the Bharatiya Janata Party, the swanky headquarters, is just across the road from here. So everything will be close by, and all this is also being done keeping the big 2024 elections in mind, so that everything is very closely knit. That's the reason. I don't know, Akshita, if you can hear, the chants are taking place right behind me. A lot of Karyakartas inside, chanting Prime Minister Narendra Modi's name, and the top brass of the Bharatiya Janata Party, the top leaders, including Home Minister Amit Shah, also inside at the moment. And the puja has begun. We expect the puja to go on for almost half an hour. After that, the Prime Minister will speak with the top leaders, and then, slowly this building finally will be opened. From tomorrow, we will see work taking place inside the swanky building in the national capital. All these things are being done, keeping the big 2024 elections in mind. Akshita.
So if you've seen the BJP headquarters in the national capital, it's a huge, imposing building in Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay Marg, and bang opposite it is now this residential complex, this massive auditorium. For the bigger events, we're being told, Aishwarya, when senior leaders gather, when you have these BJP nationwide meets that happen, that will now be shifted from the BJP headquarters to this auditorium and residential complex that the Prime Minister is inaugurating. Aishwarya, if you can hear me, right opposite the BJP headquarters where you're standing is where this residential complex is. And what we're hearing is that the mega party huddles in the run-up to 2024 is now going to be shifted from the BJP headquarters and will take place in this massive auditorium.
Well, actually, definitely, all these things are being done, keeping the big 2024 elections in mind. From what we understand, apart from the rooms, there are also places where research will take place. So definitely what the BJP is doing, and we did see how the Prime Minister also spoke about just 400 days left, almost 2 months back. So the BJP very well on war footing, and that's the reason why we are seeing all these kind of things being done. And the reason why this particular spot was chosen, this spot is just, opposite the BJP headquarters. That's the reason why we are seeing this swanky new building. Also, from what we understand, a lot of tech things will also be done in this building. That's the reason why Prime Minister himself has been roaming about. In fact, when he stepped in from building to building, he went inside. There are 4 buildings, let me tell you, Akshata, the one which is right behind me, the big one which is there, and there's another building, the one where there are almost 50 rooms. Now, the 50 rooms are kept because there are many people who will want to work for the Bharatiya Janata Party. That's what the party at the moment believes, that there'll be people from across the country who would want to come and stay in the national capital. Because people want to come and stay, that's the reason why an entire building, almost 50 single rooms have been made for the people who will come from across the country, and they will start working for the Bharatiya Janata Party just before 2024 elections. Keeping all these things in mind is the reason why we are seeing, the puja also taking place, and Prime Minister himself taking out time and coming to this swanky new building. Akshita.
Very true. And Aishwarya giving us details about this massive complex. 50 rooms in all, besides this massive auditorium in which you see all of the BJP leaders currently seated as well. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with the BJP chief, performing the puja. After that, they're going to be making their way onto the stage there at the auditorium. And then you're going to be perhaps hearing what the Prime Minister also has to say about his vision for the BJP going forward. Very crucial messaging, no doubt, with, in fact, the 2024 elections, with the state polls also this year. Karnataka elections, of course, just about a month away. So this BJP complex is going to be used for a lot of election huddles. Have no doubt in your mind, this is just the beginning of many more such images that we'll be beaming for you live from the BJP residential complex right opposite the BJP headquarters as well. This will be used for massive nationwide meets that the BJP occasionally holds as well. Their election huddles, for which their leadership also travels down from different states to the national capital. That's why you've got the who's who of the BJP right now seated in that auditorium. And outside, BJP cadre have gathered in great numbers to celebrate this moment and also join the Prime Minister in inaugurating this massive complex. So at the BJP headquarters, you've got huge crowds that have gathered right now. Aishwarya, why don't you speak to some of the cadre there about what really the mood is like on ground?
Well, Akshita, I would have loved to do that, but unfortunately, for the media, there's a closed enclosure, and the people who have been called the Karyakartas are on the other side because of very strict protocol. We are not allowed to move outside the area which has been given to us. But, I'll ask Sachin to pan and to show you on the other side. you see all the people, and there's a big screen, Akshita, which has been put up because even the Karyakartas are not allowed to go inside where the puja at the moment is taking place. So the Karyakartas also at the moment, Akshita, are seeing what's taking place. The puja is being witnessed by all the Karyakartas who have come on the big screen, and the chants that you are hearing, Akshita, are of the Karyakartas who have turned up in large numbers to witness this new swanky building of the BJP. Unfortunately for the media at the moment, Akshita, because of the protocol, we have this enclosure where we are standing, because of which we cannot go on to the other side. But a lot of Karyakartas, let me tell you, Akshita, on the other side, and the chants that you hear, Bharat Mata Ki Jai, Prime Minister, the chants for Prime Minister Narendra Modi, all these things are being done at the moment. And also on the screen, Akshita, we can see the puja, at the moment still taking place, Prime Minister taking part in this puja. From what we understand at the moment, the puja will continue for almost 15 to 20 minutes, and then the Prime Minister will speak with the top brass and all the leaders of the BJP and speak about the upcoming elections and also what needs to be done for the big 2024 elections. Akshita.
There was also a similar huddle that happened earlier today, Aishwarya, in which the Prime Minister, also speaking to the BJP leaders, to the senior leadership, sent out a message of what he believes should be the agenda for the BJP in the run-up to the 2024 election. So I think after this pujan, also after the Bhumi Pujan that you see on your screens, when he interacts with senior leaders, when he interacts with all the BJP workers gathered there, it's going to be a similar message that he sends across.
Well, definitely, we are also seeing what's taking place in the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha every day. So that's also something, Akshata, that the Prime Minister will be speaking with the top leaders. How to go about things, in the next couple of days is also something that they will be focusing on. The elections that will take place at the year end, the, 3 very crucial states, that's also something that we understand Prime Minister will be speaking with. And a special emphasis, is being done on the OBCs. That's also something that the Prime Minister will be speaking with the leaders. We understand there will be a lot of leaders, from the OBC, which are at the moment inside. The Prime Minister will also speak with them, because it's not just the Hindus that the Bharatiya Janata Party, Akshata, at the moment is looking at. They are looking at making sure that there is a rainbow of voters for the Bharatiya Janata Party for the elections this year and also the big elections in 2024. All those things will be discussed, and obviously it's a happy occasion for the BJP, a swanky new building, new rooms. So this will also be used by the Prime Minister and also by Amit Shah, Home Minister Amit Shah. Also, he reached a couple of minutes early, and then, he went, strolled around the building, saw what took place, and then Amit Shah, in fact, briefed Prime Minister Narendra Modi. We saw JP Nadda also along with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So the top brass, very happy at the moment with the kind of building that has come up. And the way to go forward, because for the BJP, it is less than 400 days now, Akshita, and they are on a war footing. They want to make sure. We have seen how some of the top leaders of the BJP have made claims that there is a possibility they might get on their own 350 or maybe 400 seats this time. That's the mission with which the BJP is going. So all those things will be discussed in detail. And since all the top leaders of the BJP at the moment are present inside, after the Bhumi Pujan, we will see the Prime Minister holding some kind of an informal meeting with the leaders and speaking about what needs to be done next. Akshita.
And these are live images that we're showing you right now. The Bhumi Puja is complete. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and JP Nadda have made their way onto the stage at this new residential complex, at this auditorium as well. You can see that there are, in fact, senior BJP leaders who are currently on the stage along with the Prime Minister. We are going to be cutting across live for you and getting those latest updates. You can see, in fact, that Home Minister Amit Shah is also on stage. You've got JP Nadda, Nitin Gadkari, all of them there, the senior most BJP leaders who've come together there for this particular inauguration. And let's get you these live images. You can see the inauguration now taking place with the traditional lighting of the lamp. Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with senior Margdarshak of the BJP, Mr. Murli Manohar Joshi on stage. JP Nadda now lighting the lamp as is the tradition. Next is Home Minister Amit Shah. Let's cut across live.
शावाहे ओम शांति 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 धन्यवाद।
भारत माता की। अब वंदे मातरम का गायन होगा। श्रीमती शबाना रहमान गायन करेंगी। आप सभी से आग्रह है खड़े होकर वंदे मातरम का गायन करें। वंदे मातरम वंदे मातरम सुजलाम सुफलाम मलयज शीतलाम शस्य श्यामलाम मातरम वंदे मातरम शुभ्र ज्योत्स्ना पुलकित यामिनी फुल्लकुसुमिता द्रुमदल शोभिनी सुहासिनी सुमधुर भाषिणी सुखदां वरदां मातरं वन्दे मातरं वन्दे मातरं। भारत माता की। भारत माता की। भारत माता की। जैसा कि हमारी संस्कृति में है, हम वरिष्ठ जनों का सम्मान करते हैं किसी भी शुभ कार्यक्रम में। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के, युग पुरुष प्रधानमंत्री जी के सम्मान के लिए विश्व की सबसे बड़ी पार्टी के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष माननीय नड्डा जी से आग्रह करूंगी कि वो अंग वस्त्र और पुष्प गुच्छ देकर माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का सम्मान करें। करतल ध्वनि से स्वागत करिए। दिल्ली प्रदेश के अध्यक्ष वीरेंद्र सचदेवा जी से आग्रह है कि हमारी पार्टी के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष माननीय नड्डा जी का स्वागत करें अंग वस्त्र और पुष्प गुच्छ देकर। हमारे पूर्व अध्यक्ष और पूर्व मंत्री वयोवृद्ध नेता मुरली मनोहर जोशी जी के स्वागत के लिए प्रदेश के महामंत्री हर्ष मल्होत्रा जी से आग्रह करूंगी कि अंग वस्त्र और पुष्प गुच्छ देकर माननीय मुरली मनोहर जी का स्वागत करें। करतल ध्वनि से स्वागत करिए हमारे वरिष्ठ गणों का। राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष और वर्तमान गृह मंत्री जिन्होंने एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत के स्वप्न को साकार किया है, माननीय अमित शाह जी के स्वागत के लिए मैं आग्रह करूंगी जयप्रकाश जी को, जो पूर्व मेयर हैं दिल्ली के। राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष और वर्तमान परिवहन मंत्री जिन्होंने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का जाल पूरे देश में बिछा दिया है, माननीय नितिन गडकरी जी के स्वागत के लिए मैं आग्रह करूंगी प्रदेश के उपाध्यक्ष राजीव बब्बर जी से। विकासवाद को सेंटर में लाने वाले और देश के विकास की अवधारणा को नई परिभाषा देने वाले सर्वसमावेशी समृद्ध भारत के निर्माण को संकल्पबद्ध माननीय युग पुरुष वैश्विक नेता मोदी जी से आग्रह करूंगी, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से निवेदन करूंगी कि केंद्रीय कार्यालय विस्तार का डिजिटली लोकार्पण करें। बजाकर स्वागत करिए इस ऐतिहासिक पल का। केंद्रीय कार्यालय विस्तार के पर एक फिल्म का प्रस्तुतिकरण है 5 मिनट की। उस फिल्म का अभी प्रस्तुतिकरण चालू है। आज हम सब सहभागी हैं उस ऐतिहासिक पल के। एक छोटी फिल्म है इस कार्यालय विस्तार का।
पार्टी की यात्रा में कितने ही कठिन पड़ाव आए, संघर्ष का दौर चला।
So, film currently being played there at the BJP residential complex. We'll continue getting you those updates and much more on the other side of a very short break.
ईडी, सीबीआई, इनकम टैक्स जैसी एजेंसियों का दुरुपयोग हो रहा है और लगातार विपक्ष के नेताओं को इस पर निशाना बनाया जा रहा है। इस पर आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
ये सारी एजेंसियां, कोई एजेंसी कोर्ट के ऊपर नहीं है। किसी भी नोटिस को भी आप कोर्ट में चैलेंज कर सकते हैं, 1। किसी भी एफआईआर को कोर्ट में चैलेंज कर सकते हैं, 2। और किसी भी चार्जशीट को भी कोर्ट में चैलेंज कर रहे हैं, 3। भाई कोर्ट में जाने की जगह यहां पर हो हल्ला कर क्या होगा? और बहुत हमारी पार्टी में तो कम है, उनकी पार्टी में ढेर सारे अच्छे वकील हैं।
traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
The story of Lakshmi is a source of inspiration. Despite frugal means, Lakshmi has built a business she's proud of. But it did not come easy. After working in a wide array of jobs, Lakshmi got headlong into the dry cleaning and ironing business. She now caters to over 300 families.
ये हमारा जो प्रोफेशन है वो फैमिली बिजनेस है। मेरे हस्बैंड प्राइवेट सेक्टर में जॉब करते थे। जब लॉकडाउन लगा तो उनकी वो जॉब छूट गई थी। तो ये फैमिली बिजनेस था, हाथ का हुनर था, तो मैंने एक बार बाहर आजमाने की कोशिश की। शुरू में 16 किलोमीटर ड्राइव करके जाना बहुत काफ़ी ऐसा लगता था, पता नहीं कितना दूर जंगल में आना पड़ रहा है।
With all her hard work and dedication, Lakshmi soon took a shop on rent in a housing complex in Jaipur. She has employed 3 people to help her. Lakshmi has not only managed to build a profitable business, she has also given hope and aspirations to her children.
मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है कि मम्मी पापा दोनों काम करते हैं हमारे लिए, और मेरा भाई और मैं मतलब अच्छे से पढ़ पाते हैं उस वजह से। मम्मी और पापा बिजनेस करते हैं और इतना दूर जाते हैं, तो हमें बहुत सपोर्ट मिलता है उन दोनों से।
Lakshmi's elder son is pursuing BTech and dreams of joining the Indian Navy after graduation. Her younger son plans to open a cafe.
39-year-old Lakshmi is no less than a superwoman for her family. Despite frugal means and the initial hardship, through her grit and perseverance, Lakshmi has managed to put the family business on the path to progress and given her children the hope and the aspiration to dream big. With camera person Nikhil Devankur Vadhavan in Jaipur for India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
The all-new Red Dark Edition by Tata Motors.
Let's get you, in fact, the latest updates on the massive protest that's taking place outside the Red Fort in Delhi over Rahul Gandhi's disqualification. Congress leaders have hit the streets, and you see those images on your screens of all of the leaders being detained, including senior Congress leader Harish Rawat, who's been taken into custody. Congress has now tweeted saying dictators scared of Satyagraha, and that's why our workers are being detained.
ये लोकतंत्र की हत्या है। हमको मशाल जुलूस नहीं निकालने दिया गया। हमने मशालें जलाई, अपने कपड़े निकाल के रुमालें लगा करके मशालें जलाई, जिनको पुलिस ने बलात् बुझाने का काम किया। मगर हम दिल की मशाल जला करके जो है ये जहां ले जाएं, जो भी जुल्म करे, इस जुल्म से लड़ेंगे। भारत का प्रतिपक्ष जिंदाबाद, राहुल गांधी जिंदाबाद।
Ashutosh Mishra is joining us live right now from outside the Red Fort. Ashutosh, take us through what's happening there. We can see the multiple Congress leaders have now been detained.
You know, it's totally high voltage drama. The Congress workers, senior leaders plan to carry out a protest here, a mashal protest, a torch protest at Delhi's Red Fort. But much before they could reach, the Delhi police barricaded this entire area and prevented all of them from reaching at least 200 meters away from the Red Fort main. There you now see who's being detained is Ajay Rai, the former Congress chief of Uttar Pradesh. Now he's being detained. So far we have seen JP Agrawal being detained. Harish Rawat, the former Uttarakhand chief minister, has been detained, and around 100 of these Congress workers, one after one, being detained. Everyone who tried to reach to the Red Fort area. A few minutes ago, we had P. Chidambaram, the former home minister, here. Of course, he wasn't allowed to reach to Red Fort. Then he left. Adhir Ranjan Chowdhury, another Congress leader from West Bengal. So many member of parliaments, including Kerala, they all are here. And everyone now there you see being detained. We are beaming live images from Red Fort, where the Congress planned to carry out a torch protest over the current issue revolving around Rahul Gandhi And as we see the protests triggering from street to parliament, there you see these Congress leaders are being detained. In fact, they tried to lit the torch, but clearly there was no permission from the Delhi police. And of course, Red Fort area, you cannot carry out such protests. There are usually no permission given. But for now, since police barricaded, there is a massive traffic, totally jam-packed, choked this entire area. In fact, the people who are roaming around and the plans to visit this particular stretch, they are using this particular street to going home. Clearly, they should avoid, because this is totally jam-packed because of the multi-level barricading placed by Delhi police. But for now, you see in these images, high-voltage drama. Ajay Rai Lallu, the former UP Congress chief, is being detained. And other side, look at this, how these barricading have been placed. Multi-level barricading is being done by Delhi police. The CRPF company has been placed here, and of course, there you see, this is the huge. In fact, many of these buses who were taking these Congress workers, supporters and leader to the nearby police station, these workers clearly obstructed even the police buses. They literally resisted and protested, and they did not allow these buses to go. There you see, these leaders have been now being taken by Delhi police. So this entire stretch, you see, many leaders from many parts of the country, the Congress senior leaders, who tried to reach at this pocket. Of course, there was one information that Priyanka Gandhi will be reaching here, Mallikarjun Kharge. But before anyone, those top leaders, those senior most leaders could reach here from the party, here already the detention begins from Delhi police. There you see these images, the Congress workers now being detained, have been taken to the police station.
Permission denied, Ashutosh? Was permission denied for this protest?
Unfolding at Delhi's. Well, of course, since the permission was denied, and of course they informed the police, it wasn't about seeking a permission to carry out protests at Red Fort. Remember, this is a totally busiest, one of the most busiest stretch, and usually there is no permission given to carry out a protest or a torch protest from Red Fort to, the town hall area, which was sought by the Congress party. And because of that, looking at the protest, this is one of the most busiest road. Delhi police barricaded this entire stretch, and because of this barricading, more than an hour, there have been literally massive traffic. Now they're just opening one of these stretch and gradually, of course, easing out the traffic. But clearly the Delhi police did not allow any of these Congress leaders or workers to go to the Red Fort. So of course, the police did not allow them to carry out protests, the torch protests for now. So of course we see as the protesters now being gradually evacuated in these buses, they are being detained, they are being taken to the nearby police station. So gradually we will see the stretch going to be open, of course, for the traffic, soon vehicular movement. But for now you see this is totally stalled. If I could just beam out these images from here, there you see the traffic. This total stretch is now jam-packed, and of course the protest from here where we are at the moment, just 200 meters where there is a main gate of the Red Fort area usually, which is the place of entry and which is usually believed to be for the gathering. But since the gathering wasn't permitted by Delhi police official, there you see the CRP, the senior most official, the DCP, the area ACP, everyone here, and all they just prevented from these Congress leaders and workers to reach at Red Fort area. Now what we see, almost the protest is now over, since most of these leaders have been either detained or they have gone back home. Now the police is just expediting this evacuation process, the detention process. Everyone is around here now being taken away by the Delhi police. Suchita.
Ashutosh Mishra there reporting from the ground and getting us all of those latest updates. You can see all of the senior Congress leaders who are now being detained as we speak, as permission was denied for this particular protest. But then if permission was denied, Ashutosh, the Delhi police will then pass the buck and put the blame on the Congress, saying we didn't give permission and yet you chose to gather here outside Red Fort.
Well, usually we see, the section 144 is often used by the law enforcement agencies when it comes to the gathering or to carry out protests. And as I said, the Red Fort, this particular stretch is one of the most busiest. We have the very famous Chandni Chowk market here, Chavdi Bazaar here, Kashmiri Gate, all this connectivity area. So usually there is no permission to carry out a protest. And since there was no permission, usually we see many other places, if you seek a permission, you remember all opposition parties were trying to march from Parliament to Enforcement Directorate Office. Section 144 was imposed, there was no permission. So clearly that is one tool that the police agency used, because there was no permission to carry out march. They were contained at this almost 200 meters from the main gate of the Red Fort area by putting these barricades, multi-level barricading at both sides. So they were quite confined and restricted at one particular stage. So they see the most of now these very few leaders have left, since most of these workers and other leaders being detained. So of course they are still reluctant, and they still want to reach Red Fort area, carrying out the torch rally, the torch protest, Mashal Julus. But since the permission wasn't given, the Delhi police did not even allow them to reach. Though the very few now I can see carrying out a banner and poster in support of Rahul Gandhi. So more than you see the carry out any specific protest, what it is seen as a symbolic protest, that you are raising voice against the government, you are raising voice over the particular issue that you were raising. And moreover, this symbolism comes out when you see the unity of all your party leaders together. No matter at very other occasion you've been criticizing certain policies, but when it comes to the Rahul Gandhi, his disqualification, asking him to vacate bungalow. So this entire issue that surrounding Rahul Gandhi, there we see quite unity not only within the Congress party, but also even the arch rivals like the TMC, like the Aam Aadmi Party, and several other coming together. So that has somewhere given big arms and strengthened the arms of the Congress party. And there we see from Parliament, we're seeing all these Congress leaders and other opposition leaders are wearing black clothes. And here on street, different occasions, we are seeing these protests. So this has been happening for quite 3-4 days. And here they plan to carry out a torch protest from Red Fort to Town Hall, one of the most iconic places. And remember, Red Fort is very famous. When we've seen from the Red Fort on every 15th August, we see the Prime Minister, different Prime Ministers have been addressing the nation. So this has a symbolic message in the protest to carry out. At least you're reaching here, giving out a message. But when it comes to law enforcement agency, there are, of course, different rules. They have to maintain the law and order. They have to maintain the traffic. But yes, as far as giving message through this protest is concerned, that is somewhere reached. They tried to reach at Red Fort. They tried to carry out a protest march, which wasn't allowed. And at least they gave they were finally taken to the police station. They were detained. Harish Rawat in fact said, if they are going to arrest me, let them arrest. And of course, many of them who were somehow reached here now being detained. Okay. And now we see the area is under control. There is no absolute no reason to worry about situation, law and order. Everything remained calm. It was a symbolic protest.
Okay, so the Congress leaders who gathered there have in fact been detained. The protest has ended. Ashutosh, thank you for getting us that ground report. Let's move on to the other big political story of the day, the showdown over Rahul Gandhi's comments on Savarkar. It's led to a political storm in Maharashtra. Rahul Gandhi's taunt has left a deep split between, in fact, the Congress and their own allies. You've had Uddhav Thackeray making it very clear he's upset with Rahul Gandhi, and it's led to the intervention directly of NCP chief Sharad Pawar. Pawar reportedly has spoken to the Gandhis, and Rahul has been told not to go ahead and make such comments against Savarkar again.
राहुल गांधी सोचता है मेरा नाम सावरकर नहीं है, मेरा नाम गांधी है. गांधी किसी से माफी नहीं मांगता.
From the BJP to the Savarkar clan to even Rahul Gandhi's own political allies, they're all breathing fire on Rahul over this comment. Days after Rahul Gandhi's Savarkar salvo, the outrage refuses to die down, and it's fueled a full-fledged campaign in support of Savarkar's legacy. The ruling BJP Shiv Sena coalition launched a We Are Savarkar campaign, and leading from the front was Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, who even changed his Twitter profile photo.
ऐसे सावरकर जी का अपमान कोई सहन नहीं करेगा, इसलिए मैंने कल भी धिक्कार राहुल गांधी का किया है. आज भी मैं धिक्कार कर रहा हूँ. आज भी मैं उनका निषेध करता हूँ, और ये राज्य की जनता सावरकर देशभक्त का अपमान नहीं सहन करेगा.
These posters have come up in several suburban areas of Mumbai. These posters have been put up by Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha, and these posters are a clear indication that the political heat and temperature is only going to rise in the days to come.
Politically and otherwise, Rahul Gandhi is facing massive pressure to apologize for his comment. Savarkar's grandson has now shot off this warning to Rahul Gandhi.
Everybody knows he is not a Savarkar,
because a beetle dung cannot be a son. It is, everybody knows it. Beetle dung is always a beetle dung. He cannot be a son. So whatever Rahul Gandhi is doing now is very childish, and above all it is for his political gain. So using the names of patriots to promote your politics is a very wrong thing, is a deplorable thing, and I demand action on it.
But the biggest salvo has come from Rahul's own allies, the Uddhav Sena faction, and even NCP chief Sharad Pawar. After Uddhav Thackeray made it clear that they will not tolerate any insult to the Hindutva ideologue, his Member of Parliament Sanjay Raut claimed the support of Sharad Pawar as well.
वीर सावरकर के बारे में हमेशा हमारे दिल में एक श्रद्धा की भावना रही है, तो बार बार उनका इस प्रकार से उल्लेख करना कि माफी मांगी ये गलत है, और डेफिनेटली हम ये मानते हैं कि वीर सावरकर जी का अपमान नहीं होना चाहिए.
The Uddhav faction also showed their displeasure by giving the opposition huddle in Parliament a skip, a clear indication that Rahul's comment could have far-reaching consequences for the Congress and any talk of opposition unity. Rahul Gandhi fired this very Savarkar salvo months ago during the Bharat Jodo Yatra.
अगर वो डरते नहीं, वो इसको कभी नहीं साइन करते, और इस सिग्नेचर में धोखा था. जब उन्होंने ये साइन किया, वो हिंदुस्तान के जो सब नेता थे, महात्मा गांधी, सरदार पटेल, उन सबको उन्होंने धोखा किया, और उन्होंने उनको कहा कि देखो तुम गलत कर रहे हो, तुम्हें भी साइन कर देना चाहिए. मैं सच्चाई बोलता हूं.
But it looks like he's learned no lessons from the outrage it triggered back then and the Mahadangal it's kicked off now. With Pankaj Upadhyay in Mumbai, Bureau Report, India Today.
And joining us here on To The Point on India Today is Savarkar's grandson, Mr. Ranjit Savarkar, who's taken offence to what Rahul Gandhi has said. Mr. Ranjit Savarkar, Rahul Gandhi so far has refused to apologise. But tell us first what you make of his comment. Before that, let's cut across live right now to Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaking at the newly launched residential complex.
के मार्गदर्शक डॉक्टर मुरली मनोहर जोशी जी, पार्टी के अन्य सभी पदाधिकारी, सभी सम्मानित साथी कार्यकर्तागण, देवी और सज्जनों, भारतीय जनता पार्टी के केंद्रीय कार्यालय के विस्तार की देश भर के भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ताओं को बहुत बहुत बधाई. दो 2018 में जब मैं कार्यालय का लोकार्पण करने के लिए आया था, तो कहा था कि इस कार्यालय की आत्मा हमारा कार्यकर्ता है. आज जब हम इस कार्यालय का विस्तार कर रहे हैं, तो ये भी केवल एक भवन का विस्तार नहीं है, बल्कि ये प्रत्येक भाजपा कार्यकर्ता के सपनों का विस्तार है. भाजपा के सेवा के संकल्प का विस्तार है. मैं पार्टी के उन कोटि कोटि कार्यकर्ताओं के चरणों में प्रणाम करता हूं. मैं पार्टी के सभी संस्थापक सदस्यों को भी सर झुका करके नमन करता हूं. साथियों, आज से कुछ दिन बाद हमारी पार्टी अपना 44वां स्थापना दिवस मनाएगी. ये यात्रा एक अनथक और अनवरत यात्रा है. ये यात्रा परिश्रम की पराकाष्ठा की यात्रा है. ये यात्रा समर्पण और संकल्पों की शिखर की यात्रा है. ये यात्रा विचार और विचारधारा के विस्तार की यात्रा है। और ये यात्रा, ये विस्तार अपने आप में बहुत ही प्रेरणादायी है। आपको याद होगा, भारतीय जनसंघ ने दिल्ली के अजमेरी गेट के पास एक छोटे से ऑफिस से अपनी यात्रा शुरू की थी। उस समय हम देश के लिए बहुत बड़े सपने देखने वाले छोटी सी पार्टी थे। सपने बड़े थे, दल छोटा था। 1980 में जब भाजपा का जन्म हुआ, तब कुछ समय के लिए 10 राजेंद्र प्रसाद मार्ग पार्टी का ऑफिस बन गया था और उसी जगह पे पहले अपने नानाजी देशमुख रहते थे। बहुत से कार्यकर्ताओं को 11 अशोका रोड पार्टी ऑफिस के रूप में याद होगा। इसके भी काफी समय बाद पार्टी ऑफिस दीनदयाल उपाध्याय मार्ग पर शिफ्ट हुआ। एक तरह से हमारी पार्टी की प्रगति का प्रतीक है। इस दौरान कितने ही उतार चढ़ाव आए। हम तो वो दल है जिसने इमरजेंसी के दौरान लोकतंत्र की रक्षा के लिए खुद अपने दल को ही देश हित में आहूत करने पर हमने हिम्मत के साथ कदम उठाया। फिर सन 84 में जो हुआ, देश कभी भी उस काले पृष्ठ को भूल नहीं सकती है। और उसके बाद जो चुनाव हुआ, कांग्रेस को ऐतिहासिक बहुमत मिला था। भावनाओं से भरा हुआ वो माहौल, एक इमोशनली चार्ज एटमॉस्फियर, और उस आंधी में हम भी लगभग पूरी तरह से खत्म हो गए थे। लेकिन हम हताश नहीं हुए। हम निराश नहीं हुए। हमने किसी और में दोष ढूंढने की कोशिश नहीं की। आरोप प्रत्यारोप के चक्कर में हम नहीं पड़े। हम चले गए फिर एक बार जनता जनार्दन के बीच। हमने जमीन पे काम किया। हमने अपने संगठन को मजबूत किया और तब जाकर आज हम यहां पहुंचे हैं। लोकसभा सीटों के साथ शुरू हुआ सफर 2019 में 303 सीटों तक पहुंच गया। आज कई राज्यों में हमें 50% से ज्यादा वोट मिलते हैं। आज उत्तर से दक्षिण तक, पश्चिम से पूरब तक भाजपा एकमात्र पैन इंडिया पार्टी है। परिवार के कब्जे वाली पार्टियां, फैमिली रन पार्टियों के बीच भाजपा ऐसा राजनीतिक दल है जो युवाओं को आगे आने के लिए बहुत अवसर देता है, खुला मैदान देता है। आज भारत की माताओं, बहनों, बेटियों का आशीर्वाद जिस पार्टी के साथ है, उस पार्टी का नाम है भारतीय जनता पार्टी। और साथियों, आज भाजपा केवल विश्व की सबसे बड़ी पार्टी नहीं है, बल्कि भाजपा भारत के सबसे फ्यूचरिस्टिक पार्टी है। हमारा एक ही लक्ष्य है, भविष्य के आधुनिक और विकसित भारत का निर्माण करना। और इसलिए हमें खुद अपने लिए भी भविष्य के लक्ष्य निर्धारित करने ही होंगे। इसके लिए हमारे पास आधुनिक सोच भी होनी चाहिए, आधुनिक संसाधन भी होने चाहिए। हमें भाजपा को एक ऐसी संस्था के रूप में विकसित करना है जिसके पास अगले 10 साल, 20 साल, 50 साल के लक्ष्य निर्धारित है। इसके लिए 3 बातें हर कर्तव्यनिष्ठ कार्यकर्ता, हर भाजपा सदस्य के स्वभाव में होना समय की मांग है, देश की जरूरत है। और 3 बातें क्या है? एक है अध्ययन, दूसरा है आधुनिकता और तीसरा है विश्व भर से अच्छी बातों को आत्मसात करने की शक्ति। हम आप जानते हैं कि पंडित दीनदयाल जी जहां कहीं जाते थे, किताबें उनके साथ रहती थी। वो प्रवास में भी पढ़ते लिखते रहते थे। उनकी रचनाएं, उनके अध्ययन और बौद्धिक विस्तार की गवाह है। डॉक्टर श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी के अपने घर में तो हजारों किताबें थी। भाजपा कार्यालय की नई बिल्डिंग पार्टी की उस परंपरा का एक केंद्र बनेगी और बननी चाहिए। यहां अध्ययन की व्यवस्था भी है, आधुनिकता भी है और विश्व भर का अनुभव प्राप्त करने की आकांक्षा भी है। मुझे विश्वास है भाजपा का ये आधुनिक कार्यालय निरंतर इन सपनों के लिए, इन संकल्पों के लिए, इस अदम्य इच्छा और उमंग के लिए अविरत प्रेरणा का स्रोत बनेगा। साथियों, हम भाजपा कार्यकर्ताओं के लिए एक गर्व की बात है कि हम सब जिस दल में काम कर रहे हैं, जिस दल के आचार, संस्कार और विचार ने हमें गढ़ा है, उस दल की और उसके कार्यकर्ताओं की आज विश्व भर में चर्चा हो रही है। आज बीजेपी की पहचान दुनिया के सबसे महत्वपूर्ण राजनीतिक दल के तौर पर होने लगी है। आज भाजपा की तुलना दुनिया की उन ऐतिहासिक पार्टियों से होने लगी है जिन्होंने अपने शासनकाल में अपने देश का भाग्य बदल दिया था। ये समय बीते 4-5 दशकों में भाजपा कार्यकर्ताओं के त्याग और तपस्या की वजह से आया है। ये समय भाजपा सरकार के विकास के कार्यों की वजह से आया है। बीजेपी वो दल है जो भारत के महत्व को, भारत के सामर्थ्य को सशक्त करने के एक ही संकल्प को लेकर के चल रहा है। हम सबका साथ, सबका विकास सबका विश्वास और सबका प्रयास के मंत्र को लेकर के आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। और मुझे ये देखकर खुशी होती है कि दुनिया के कई सारे ऐसे नेता, वो हमारी भाषा से परिचित नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी वो ये सबका साथ सबका विकास मंत्र दोहराने का प्रयास करते हैं। वो अपनी भाषा में उसका अनुवाद भी करते हैं। साथियों, आज हमारा नॉर्थ ईस्ट सबका साथ सबका विकास के मंत्र का बेहतरीन उदाहरण है। नॉर्थ ईस्ट की आबादी में बहुत विविधता है। वहाँ अलग अलग समुदायों के लोग हैं। आदिवासी और विधायी समुदाय के लोग बहुतायत हैं। इस क्षेत्र के लोग भाजपा पर अभूतपूर्व विश्वास दिखा रहे हैं। आज नॉर्थ ईस्ट में भाजपा के 4 मुख्यमंत्री हैं। 2 अन्य राज्यों में हमारे गठबंधन की सरकारें हैं। इस सफलता का बड़ा श्रेय भाजपा के कार्यकर्ताओं को ही जाता है। भाजपा कार्यकर्ताओं के इसी परिश्रम की वजह से आज दक्षिण भारत में भी दूर दूर तक पार्टी का विस्तार हो रहा है। कर्नाटका में भाजपा इतने वर्षों से मजबूत स्थिति में है। आज भी हम नंबर 1 पार्टी है कर्नाटका में। तेलंगाना में भी लोगों का एकमात्र भरोसा सिर्फ और सिर्फ भाजपा है। आंध्र प्रदेश में लोगों का भाजपा पर विश्वास दिनों दिन बढ़ता चला जा रहा है। तमिलनाडु और केरला में भाजपा हर जिले में, हर बूथ पर दिनों दिन मजबूत हो रही है। एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत की भावना के साथ हो रहा भाजपा का ये विस्तार हमें सीटों के मामले में और वोट शेयर के मामले में सफलता की नई ऊंचाइयों पर ले जाएगा। लेकिन साथियों, मैं एक बात और भी कहना चाहता हूं। भाजपा को केवल उसकी प्रेजेंस और प्रभाव से नहीं समझा जा सकता है। भाजपा को जानने के लिए उसके स्वभाव को भी समझना जरूरी है। और भाजपा का स्वभाव है नूतनता, आधुनिकता। नूतनता हमारी निष्ठा है और आधुनिकता हमारी अवधारणा है। इसलिए बीजेपी केवल चुनाव लड़ने और जीतने के सीमित नहीं है। बीजेपी एक व्यवस्था है, बीजेपी एक विचार है, बीजेपी एक संगठन है, बीजेपी एक आंदोलन है। बीजेपी विकास की भी प्रेरणा शक्ति है और बीजेपी बदलाव की भी प्राण शक्ति है। बीजेपी ने सियासत की सोच को बदला है और समावेश के नए मानकों को जन्म दिया है। और इसका एक उदाहरण है भाजपा का सदस्यता अभियान और इसके माध्यम से पार्टी का विस्तार। एक समय था जब हम राज्यों में राज्य स्तर की कमेटी बन जाए तो हम सोच रहे थे कि चलिए उस राज्य में झंडा गाड़ दिया। फिर थोड़ा समय और बीता, कार्यकर्ताओं ने परिश्रम किया, फिर हम हिसाब लगाने लगे कि भाई कितने जिले हैं जहां कमेटी बनी है, कितने जिलों में कमेटी बाकी है, कब पूरा करेंगे। फिर हम एक कदम आगे चले, फिर हम सोचने लगे चलो जिले तो हो गए, बताओ भाई कितने तहसील में कमेटियां बनी हैं, कितने ब्लॉक लेवल पर कमेटियां बनी हैं। फिर शक्ति केंद्र आया, फिर बूथ पर फोकस हुआ और आज हम पन्ना प्रमुख तक पहुंच गए। भाजपा पहली पार्टी है जिसने पार्टी की व्यवस्था में संवैधानिक रूप से महिलाओं के लिए पद की व्यवस्था की है। संविधान के तहत भाजपा पहली ऐसी पार्टी है जो अपने कार्यकर्ताओं को नए अवसर देने के लिए निरंतर तत्पर रहती है। हमने पार्टी की समितियों में, कमेटियों में हर बार 25% नए लोगों को लाने की व्यवस्था शुरू की है। हम कार्यकर्ताओं की इसी ताकत से सत्ता के शिखर तक पहुंचे हैं। लेकिन हम भले ही सत्ता के शिखर पर पहुंचे हो, लेकिन हमारे पांव आज भी उतने ही जमीन पर हैं जितने 1980 में हुआ करते थे। भाजपा में ऐसे कार्यकर्ताओं की बहुत बड़ी फौज है जो कष्ट उठाकर, परेशानी झेलकर, कर्तव्य भावना से लगातार देश सेवा में जुटे रहते हैं। हम जहां भी काम करते हैं सामूहिकता की भावना से काम करते हैं, टीम वर्क के साथ काम करते हैं। भाजपा वो पार्टी है जिसमें मुक्त चिंतन होता है, नए विचार सृजित होते हैं, नए विचारों का सम्मान होता है। चिंतन और अध्ययन करने वाले एक बहुत बड़ा वर्ग हमारे भाजपा परिवार का विशाल विस्तार है, हिस्सा है, वट वृक्ष की भांति है। भाजपा वो पार्टी है जिसमें समाज के अलग अलग वर्गों को प्रतिनिधित्व देने के लिए प्रभावी और क्रियाशील मोर्चे और कमेटियां हैं। भाजपा में हर मोर्चा अपनी सामाजिक भूमिका में सक्रिय भी होता है, प्रभावशाली भी होता है। साथियों, भाजपा की एक और विशेषता है कि हमारी पार्टी समाज के साथ जुड़कर के काम करती है। भाजपा में समाज की सेवा के माध्यम से कार्यकर्ताओं को गढ़ा जाता है। जैसे कि आपने देखा होगा, आजकल भाजपा सांसद अपने क्षेत्र में खेल प्रतियोगिताएं करा रहा है। इनके आयोजन में बड़ी जिम्मेदारी भाजपा के वहां के स्थानीय कार्यकर्ता ही निभा रहे हैं। इसमें देश के लाखों युवाओं को भाग लेने का मौका मिल रहा है। हजारों युवाओं को पदक मिल रहे हैं, उनके लिए आगे बढ़ने के रास्ते खुल रहे हैं और हमें भी क्षेत्र के सामर्थ्य का परिचय होता है। इसी तरह कहीं कोई प्राकृतिक आपदा हो, समाज के सामने कहीं कोई चुनौती आए या फिर रक्तदान जैसे समाज सेवा से जुड़ा अभियान हो, भाजपा के कार्यकर्ता सबसे पहले पहुंचते हैं और सबसे आखिरी तक मोर्चे पर डटे रहते हैं। अभी अध्यक्ष जी बता रहे थे, कोरोना के दौरान हमारी पार्टी के लोगों ने कैसे घर घर जाकर मुफ्त राशन और इलाज पहुंचाने में मदद की। और तब तो पता नहीं था कि जाएंगे तो क्या लेके आएंगे। अगर बीमारी घर में लाए तो जिंदगी खतरे में पड़ जाती थी। फिर भी ये भाजपा का कार्यकर्ता है। आज भाजपा और भाजपा कार्यकर्ताओं का समाज के साथ जो भावात्मक संबंध है वो आपको किसी और राजनीतिक दल में नजर आएगा कि नहीं आएगा ये मैं कह नहीं सकता। साथियों, जब हम समाज की सेवा के लिए अपना जीवन खपाते हैं तो सरकार बनाने का अवसर मिलने पर भी ये हमारी प्राथमिकता होता है। इसलिए ही आज पूरे भारत में भाजपा सरकारें आकांक्षा, विकास और प्रगति का पर्याय बन रही है। और ये भाजपा का ब्रांड ऑफ गवर्नेंस है। जहां भी भाजपा की सरकार है वहां गरीब कल्याण के लिए योजनाएं तेज गति से चलने लगती है। जहां भी भाजपा की सरकारें हैं वहां योजनाओं का लाभ लाभार्थियों तक पहुंचाना सुनिश्चित हो जाता है। जहां भी भाजपा की सरकारें वहां युवा शक्ति को आगे बढ़ने के लिए नए अवसर बनते हैं। जहां भी भाजपा की सरकारें हैं वहां योजनाओं में महिला सशक्तिकरण को सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता मिलने लगती है। जहां भी भाजपा की सरकारें हैं वहां कानून व्यवस्था सुदृढ़ हो जाती है। जहां भी भाजपा की सरकारें हैं वहां ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस, ईज ऑफ लिविंग के प्रयास बढ़ने लगते हैं। जहां भी भाजपा की सरकारें हैं वहां इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का तेजी से विकास होना शुरू हो जाता है। जहां भी भाजपा की सरकारें हैं वहां विकास और विरासत दोनों साथ साथ चलते हैं। साथियों, मैं समझता हूं अब समय आ गया है कि हमारी यूनिवर्सिटीज, एकेडमिशियंस और एक्सपर्ट्स भारत के पिछले 75 साल के अलग अलग गवर्नेंस मॉडल्स की कंपैरेटिव स्टडी करें, एनालिसिस करें, देश और दुनिया के सामने रखें। देश ने लंबे समय तक कांग्रेस का एक गवर्नेंस मॉडल देखा है। देश ने कम्युनिस्टों का भी कुछ राज्यों में गवर्नेंस का मॉडल देखा है। देश ने परिवारवादी फैमिली रन पार्टियों के काम करने का तरीका भी देखा है। अलग अलग गठबंधनों की सरकारों का गवर्नेंस मॉडल भी देश ने देखा है। और देश आज पूर्ण बहुमत वाली भाजपा सरकारों का गवर्नेंस मॉडल भी देख रहा है। एक निश्चित पैरामीटर्स के साथ जब इसकी एनालिसिस होगी तो गवर्नेंस के मॉडल का महत्व समझ में आएगा। देश के सामान्य मानवी को भी पता चलेगा कि गवर्नेंस के किस मॉडल ने देश को क्या दिया, उसके परिणाम क्या निकले और उनके लिए क्या बेहतर रास्ता है। साथियों, आज भारतीय जनता पार्टी के प्रत्येक कार्यकर्ता को एक बात समझना बहुत आवश्यक है। देश इस समय जिस कालखंड से गुजर रहा है वो तेज विकास के लिए बहुत अहम है। ये अमृतकाल ये सिर्फ शब्द समूह नहीं है, ये धरती की सच्चाई है। 140 करोड़ देशवासियों की दिलों की धड़कन है। आज हम सबसे युवा देश है, आत्मविश्वास से भरे हुए देश है। पूरे विश्व में दुनिया के बड़े बड़े मंचों पर आज अगर किसी का डंका बज रहा है तो नाम है हिंदुस्तान, वो नाम है भारत। ऐसे में देश के भीतर बैठी और देश के बाहर बैठी भारत विरोधी शक्तियों का एकजुट होना स्वाभाविक है। ये शक्तियां किसी भी तरह भारत से विकास का एक कालखंड छीन लेना चाहती है। आज भारत का सामर्थ्य अगर फिर बुलंदी की तरफ जा रहा है तो इसके पीछे हमारी एक मजबूत नींव है। ये नींव हमारी संवैधानिक संस्थाओं की है, हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस की है। इसलिए आज भारत को रोकने के लिए हमारी इस नींव पर चोट की जा रही है, संवैधानिक संस्थाओं पर प्रहार किया जा रहा है, उन्हें बदनाम करने का अभियान छेड़ा जा रहा है। उनकी क्रेडिबिलिटी, उनकी विश्वसनीयता खत्म करने की साजिश की जा रही है। जो लोग भ्रष्टाचार में लिप्त हैं, उन पर जब एजेंसियां कार्रवाई करती हैं तो एजेंसियों पर हमला किया जाता है। जब कोर्ट कोई फैसला सुनाता है तो कोर्ट पर सवाल उठाए जाते हैं, न्यायिक प्रणाली पर हमले होते हैं। आप सब देख रहे हैं, कुछ दलों ने मिलकर भ्रष्टाचारी बचाओ अभियान छेड़ा हुआ है। भ्रष्टाचार में लिप्त जितने भी चेहरे हैं वो सब एक साथ एक मंच पर आ रहे हैं। पूरा देश ये देख रहा है, देश समझ रहा है। साथियों, भ्रष्टाचार ने हमारे देश का बहुत नुकसान किया है। दिमक की तरह देश को खोखला किया है भ्रष्टाचार ने। देश की जनता देख रही है कि पहले की सरकारों ने किस तरह भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ कार्रवाई के नाम पर केवल खानापुरी की थी। लेकिन पिछले 9 साल में भाजपा सरकार ने भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ जो अभियान चलाया, उसने आज भ्रष्टाचार और भ्रष्टाचारियों दोनों की जड़ें हिला दी है। ये इस बात का प्रमाण है कि जब भाजपा आती है तो भ्रष्टाचार भागता है। मैं आपको कुछ आंकड़े बताना चाहता हूं आज। प्रिवेंशन ऑफ मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग एक्ट यानी पीएमएलए के तहत कांग्रेस की सरकार में यानी साल 2004 से 2014 के बीच 5,000 करोड़ रुपए के आसपास की संपत्ति जब्त की गई थी। 5,000 करोड़। इसी एक्ट के तहत पिछले 9 वर्षों में भाजपा सरकार ने 1,10,000 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा की संपत्ति जब्त की है। इस एक्ट के तहत पहले के मुकाबले 2 गुने से ज्यादा केस रिकॉर्ड किए गए हैं और 15 गुना ज्यादा लोगों को गिरफ्तार किया गया है। हमारे यहां कुछ लोगों ने कांग्रेस शासन के दौरान बैंकों को जमकर के लूटा। बैंकों का करीब 22,000 करोड़ रुपए का नुकसान करके ये लोग विदेश भाग गए। आज भाजपा सरकार ने इन लोगों की करीब करीब 20,000 करोड़ रुपए की संपत्ति जब्त करवा दी है। प्रिवेंशन ऑफ करप्शन एक्ट के तहत पिछले 9 वर्षों में सीबीआई ने लगभग 5000 केस दर्ज किए हैं। बीजेपी सरकार में भ्रष्टाचार के आरोपों से घिरे हुए सैकड़ों बड़े अधिकारियों को संविधान दिखाया, सरकार के नियम दिखाए और उनको जबरन रिटायर किया गया है, घर भेज दिया गया है और उनके खिलाफ कार्रवाई की गई है। साथियों, आजादी के 7 दशकों में पहली बार भ्रष्टाचार पर इस तरह की चोट हो रही है। पूरे देश की जनता आज भ्रष्टाचारियों पर हो रही कार्रवाई से खुश है। आपकी यही जानकारी है ना? मैं जहां जाता हूं लोग यही कहते हैं, मोदी जी रुकना मत। हर देशवासी समझता है भ्रष्टाचार रुकेगा तभी देश आगे बढ़ेगा। और जब हम इतना सारा करेंगे तो कुछ लोग तो नाराज होंगे ही होंगे। वो अपना गुस्सा भी निकालेंगे, लेकिन इनके झूठों आरोपों से न देश झुकेगा न भ्रष्टाचार के विरुद्ध कार्रवाई थमने वाली है। साथियों, आपको याद होगा कांग्रेस के नेता कभी कहा करते थे, जनसंघ के जमाने में बड़े बड़े नेता कहते थे जनसंघ को जड़ से उखाड़कर फेंक देंगे। ये उनके बड़े बड़े नेता बोलते थे जी। और आज की कांग्रेस कहती है कि मोदी तेरी कब्र खुदेगी। जनसंघ को मिटाने की, भाजपा को मिटाने की अनेक बार साजिशें हुई और ये तो वो लोग हैं जिन्होंने मुझे भी जेल में डालने के लिए क्या क्या जाल नहीं बिछाई, लेकिन वो पूरी तरह नाकाम रहे। और हम बचे हैं, हम फले हैं, फूले हैं तो जनता जनार्दन के आशीर्वाद से, देशवासियों के प्यार से बढ़े। देशवासियों का अपार प्रेम, यही तो हमारी पूंजी है, यही हमें समर्थन देता है, यही हमें शक्ति देता है। देशवासियों के आशीर्वाद से हम आगे बढ़े हैं, बढ़ रहे हैं और बढ़ते ही रहेंगे। वो भी देशवासियों के विश्वास से बढ़ने वाले हैं। साथियों, भाजपा ये वो पार्टी नहीं है जो अखबारों से, टीवी स्क्रीन की चमक से पैदा हुई हो। ये भाजपा ट्विटर हैंडलों और यूट्यूब के चैनलों से पैदा नहीं हुई है। ये भाजपा अपने कार्यकर्ताओं के त्याग तपस्या से बनी हुई है। भाजपा जमीन पर काम करके आगे बढ़ी है। भाजपा गांव में, खेत खलिहानों में गरीबों के साथ कंधा से कंधा मिलाकर तप करके आगे बढ़ी है। मुझे बहुत सारे लोग कहते हैं अरे मोदी जी, अब सत्ता मिल गई, 2 बार प्रधानमंत्री बन गए, अभी भी क्यों इतना दौड़ते रहते हो, क्यों भागते रहते हो? अरे कभी तो मौज करो, आराम करो। लेकिन उन लोगों को पता नहीं है बीजेपी कार्यकर्ता की नियति आराम करना, बैठना, मौज करना हो नहीं सकती। भाजपा के कार्यकर्ता के लिए देश की आशाएं, लोगों की आकांक्षाएं, उनके सपने ही उसकी ड्राइविंग फोर्स होती है। इसी के लिए भाजपा कार्यकर्ता दिन रात दौड़ता है, भागता है, काम करता है, वो रुकता नहीं है, थकता नहीं है, झुकता भी नहीं है। लेकिन साथियों, हमें याद रखना है, हमारी ये लड़ाई आसान नहीं है। भाजपा को डगर डगर पर भ्रष्टाचार से लड़ना है। भाजपा को डगर डगर पर भाई भतीजावाद से लड़ना है। भाजपा को डगर डगर पर संप्रदायवाद से लड़ना है। भाजपा को डगर डगर पर जातिवाद से लड़ना है। भाजपा को डगर डगर पर भारत विरोधी विदेशी ताकतों और उनके इकोसिस्टम से लड़ना है, क्योंकि यही वो चुनौतियां हैं जिन्होंने देश का बहुत बड़ा नुकसान किया है, बहुत समय तक नुकसान किया है। साथियों, बहुत सौभाग्य से, अनेकों के त्याग तपस्या से हमें आजादी के अमृत काल में राष्ट्र की सेवा करने का, राष्ट्र निर्माण करने का अवसर मिला है। हम भारतीयों ने मिलकर 2047 तक, जब आजादी के 100 साल मनाएंगे, तब तक विकसित भारत का लक्ष्य रखा है। आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव से लेकर आजादी के 100 वर्ष तक देश की इस यात्रा में प्रत्येक भाजपा कार्यकर्ता को जी तोड़ मेहनत करनी ही करनी है। हमारे कार्यकर्ताओं को लंबी पारी के लिए तैयार करना चाहिए। दल को बनाने में जिस तरह अनेक पीढ़ियां खप गई, उसी तरह देश को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए हमें भी अपनी पीढ़ियों को खपाना होगा। साथियों, मैं आपको फरवरी 2018 में इसी कार्यालय में कही हुई अपनी एक बात को आज याद दिलाना चाहता हूं। 2018 में इसी भवन का लोकार्पण करते हुए मैंने कहा था कि कार्यालय हमारी कर्मभूमि है, लेकिन भारत की सीमा ही हमारे कार्यों की सीमा है। हमें इस भवन से ऊर्जा लेकर संपूर्ण भारत की सीमा को ही अपना कार्यक्षेत्र बनाना है। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है आप सब इसी तपस्या के साथ देश के सपनों को साकार करते रहेंगे। जो सपना हमने पहले देखा था, उसे हम आज पूरा होता देख रहे हैं। जो सपना हम आज देख रहे हैं, वो भविष्य में पूरा होकर रहेगा। इसी विश्वास के साथ आज के इस मंगल अवसर पर और नवरात्रि के पावन त्योहारों के बीच मैं आप सबको, देशवासियों को अनेक अनेक शुभकामनाएं देता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। भारत माता की, भारत माता की, भारत माता की। वंदे 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 मातरम।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's big attack on the opposition, especially the Congress party. He described the party as a party of dynasty, dangal and dishonesty. Those were the charges against the Congress party. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ferocious attack on the Congress, and he said as the nation grows, as India progresses, there are powers both outside and within the country that are out to destabilize India, that's actually on the road to power. This was Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressing his party leaders and cadre at the BJP headquarters. And the Prime Minister targeted the Congress in particular and the opposition in general. He reminded the Congress of the 1984 anti-Sikh riots. He called it genocide. He said the BJP is not a party of dynasts. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's big attack on the Congress party and on combined opposition. He said this is the biggest offensive that has ever been mounted against the corrupt, against institutionalized corruption, and he gave instances and details of how cases were being filed under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, against Prevention of Corruption Act. If properties worth a couple of thousand crore were initially recovered, he said under PMLA, under Congress government between 2004 and 14, property worth 5,000 crore had been seized. Under PMLA, under BJP government or NDA between 2014 and 22, property worth 1,10,000 crore had been recovered by the government. He also gave more details. Let's quickly listen in to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's stinging attack on the opposition.
84 में जो हुआ, देश कभी भी उस काले पृष्ठ को भूल नहीं सकती है। और उसके बाद जो चुनाव हुआ, कांग्रेस को ऐतिहासिक बहुमत मिला था। भावनाओं से भरा हुआ वो माहौल, एक इमोशनली चार्ज एटमॉस्फियर, और उस आंधी में हम भी लगभग पूरी तरह से खत्म हो गए थे, लेकिन हम हताश नहीं हुए। हम निराश नहीं हुए। हमने किसी और में दोष ढूंढने की कोशिश नहीं की। आरोप प्रत्यारोप के चक्कर में हम नहीं पड़े। हम चले गए फिर एक बार जनता जनार्दन के बीच। आज भारत को रोकने के लिए हमारी इस नींव पर चोट की जा रही है, संवैधानिक संस्थाओं पर प्रहार किया जा रहा है, उन्हें बदनाम करने का अभियान छेड़ा जा रहा है, उनकी क्रेडिबिलिटी, उनकी विश्वसनीयता खत्म करने की साजिश की जा रही है। जो लोग भ्रष्टाचार में लिप्त हैं, उन पर जब एजेंसियां कार्रवाई करती हैं तो एजेंसियों पर हमला किया जाता है। जब कोर्ट कोई फैसला सुनाता है तो कोर्ट पर सवाल उठाए जाते हैं, न्यायिक प्रणाली पर हमले होते हैं।
So you heard Prime Minister Narendra Modi there. He's drawing parallels when the BJP was down to 2 post 1984 Indira Gandhi's assassination and the elections that were held after that, to the situation today and how Congress is reacting today. We are getting the first reaction of Rajiv Shukla. Let's quickly cut across and listen in.
है कि भ्रष्टाचारी बचाओ आंदोलन निकाल रही है कांग्रेस पार्टी।
भ्रष्टाचार के तो आरोप ही कांग्रेस लगा रही है, जिसका जवाब कोई नहीं मिल रहा, तो बचाव कहां से हो गया? तो भ्रष्टाचार बचाने के आरोप तो उनको ऊपर लग रहा है, भाजपा पे।
आपके लोगों को डिटेन कर लिया जाता है, प्रोटेस्ट नहीं करने दिया जाता है।
अब विरोध पे भी रोक लग गई है, संसद में भी रोक, विरोध पे भी लोग, विपक्ष करे तो करे क्या।
थैंक यू हमसे बात करने के लिए।
I want to quickly bring in India Today's Shiv Arur for more on this. We'll also cut across to the BJP headquarters in a moment. Aishwarya Paliwal joins us from there. Shiv, the Prime Minister's attack stinging and targeted, and he's drawing parallels. When the BJP was down to just 2 members of parliament in the 1984 elections after Indira Gandhi's assassination, the BJP did not target institutions of our country. The Prime Minister says they went down to the drawing board once again, went out to the cadre, went out to the people, and then came back to win a historic 303 in 2019. This is an attack on the Congress that's targeting institutions in our country, according to the Prime Minister, Shiv.
Gaurav, this is probably the most comprehensive, full-rounded attack that the Prime Minister has made so far. It is easily his most aggressive speech so far in 2023, and the BJP is going to hope that this entire speech echoes all the way to 2024. Now remember, the multiple platforms through which the Prime Minister, the BJP are being attacked, whether it is Adani, whether it is democracy in danger, whether it is parliament, whether it is corruption, whether it is the 2002 riots, all of these things, have become part of this backhand, this big comprehensive reply from the Prime Minister. He's invoked dynasty, he's invoked what he calls a Bhrashtachar Bachao Abhiyan, which is, by far the biggest attack on the opposition, given that, the platform of Adani or Modani, as they call it, is the biggest attack that they're mounting against the Prime Minister personally at this point of time. He's talked about the 1984 riots. He's talked about, how the opposition is trying to defame institutions that are only doing their job. And remember, the Prime Minister and the BJP have been under constant attack on, the ED, CBI, etc. So I think what the Prime Minister has basically done over 40 minutes, Gaurav, is pick up every one of those barbs and provide this sort of full, well-rounded response from all sides, with typical aggression, taking examples, invoking Modi teri kabr khudegi and things like that, talking about how the Congress wanted to put him in jail, and and providing what I think is going to be a template for the road to 2024. Think about it, Gaurav, every single aspect or attack that has been taken up against the Prime Minister personally and the BJP and government in general over the last 3 to 4 months have all been encompassed in this one comprehensive reply that has lasted 40 minutes. So the huge number of takeaways in this speech.
Very interesting. You should point out that this is the template, and he's talking to his party rank and file, Aishwarya. This is the message perhaps the BJP wants to put out. And give me a moment, Aishwarya, before I come to you. I have Supriya Srinath of the Congress party joining me on the broadcast. Supriya Srinath, the Prime Minister says that the biggest attack on corruption is taking place right now, and that is why forces inimical to India, both outside and inside, are uniting to target the government.
A rattled Prime Minister is out there to protect the man whose alliances, whose allegiance, whose relationship with the Prime Minister is in question, a man who's being questioned by global agencies, a man who's saddled with corruption charges. His name is Gautam Adani, Mr. Modi's good friend. Mr. Modi has to tell the country today why is he not ordering a probe into allegations that saddles Gautam Adani. Mr. Modi has to answer why does he, his government, his ministers and his MPs are out to defend Gautam Adani, are out to defend Neerav Modi, are out to defend Lalit Modi and Mr. Modi's Mehul Bhai. Mr. Modi can no longer distract this nation because Mr. Modi is inimical to India's democracy. Mr. Modi is consistently weakening democratic powers in India. He's undermining institutions, and his only sole purpose right now seems to be to save Adani at any cost. And he's
Supriya Srinath,
let me finish. He's even willing to sacrifice a democracy and institutions like Parliament for it. So he should be the last person talking on democracy and on corruption.
The fact that the Prime Minister mentions that because there is action against corruption, and he says it's the biggest action on corruption, that the corrupt are getting together and targeting institutions of this country like the parliament, like courts, like institutions that are acting against the corrupt, ma'am.
Mr. Gaurav Sawant, India's parliament is not being able to function because the ruling government, and this is unprecedented in 75 years since Indian independence, it is the ruling government which is not allowing parliament to function. It is the ruling government running away from setting up a JPC because they want to defend Adani. It's the ruling government that's undermining institutions like the Supreme Court when the law minister says ex-judges are anti-Indian. It's the ruling government that has put every democratic institution at stake for Mr. Adani. So they should shut up and actually probe a JPC, set up agencies, get these agencies to probe allegations that surround Mr. Adani, because everything else that they say is hollow, is hypocritical, and is double-speak. Thank you. I've got to go.
Supriya Srinath of the Congress Party for joining me here on India Today. Many thanks. I want to bring in Aishwarya Paliwal. Aishwarya, this speech of the Prime Minister may have been to his cadre, but this is the template, as Shiv was pointing out, for the party rank and file, not just for Karnataka elections. And he's talking about inroads that the party is making, whether in Karnataka, he says we are the single largest party, his party is the single largest party there, but in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. But there's an interesting point. When he targets the opposition, Aishwarya, he says in the Congress era, in the banks were looted to a tune of 22,000 crore, and he says in his government they've been able to recover properties worth 20,000 crore. He talks about PMLA cases, Prevention of Corruption Act cases, and his point is he's being targeted because he's targeting corruption, Aishwarya.
Well, Gaurav, one thing that the Prime Minister has done is to make sure that there is a lot of emotion amongst those who are, who work for the Bharatiya Janata Party. He spoke about the fact that this is a party which has really come up from the ground. And that's the reason why we are seeing the kind of visuals, Gaurav, that you see right behind me, the kind of support that Prime Minister, can see, the number of people who at the moment are now waiting for the Prime Minister to step out, the car of Prime Minister right there. All these things obviously point towards the fact that there is a big emotional appeal that the Prime Minister spoke about. He also spoke about corruption, because that's something that all the opposition parties at the moment are blaming the Prime Minister of indulging in. All the opposition parties, 17, 18 parties, we have been seeing how they have been wearing black and talking about the fact that it is the Prime Minister who's indulging in corruption, and Prime Minister has given it back and said, it is not me, not my party. In fact, it is the Congress and all the other parties who have been indulging in corruption over the past 70 years. And now they are pointing fingers at me because I'm the one who's now trying to clean up the system. And that's the reason, Gaurav, for the visuals that you see right behind me. We are expecting the Prime Minister to leave the premise in just a couple of minutes from now. Most of the leaders, most of the top BJP leaders, Gaurav, now making their way out. Definitely, this is the road, the big road for the big 2024 elections. Gaurav.
Road to 2024 that Shiv actually goes through Karnataka first and a number of other elections, and the Prime Minister spoke of the template of the Northeast, and this is something that the Prime Minister talked about even at the India Today conclave, Shiv, where he says it's the Northeast that shows his Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas ideology, where the government may be in power the BJP may be in power in 3 states, but also is in power in 2 other states in a place which isn't Hindu dominated, Shiv.
That's right. Gaurav, taking all of these examples, and we all know that the Prime Minister loves taking the example of the Northeast, not only because it's one of his pet topics, but also because, his political investment of capital in the Northeast over the last 9 years has borne amazing fruit for the BJP in the first set of elections of 2023. The Prime Minister is keenly aware of that, and he also knows that if the BJP, with all its political investments in that area, has been able to reap those political benefits, then the sky is proverbially the limit. And that's one of the reasons why going into Karnataka, where remember, perceptionally speaking, the BJP is seen to be on the back foot. But what the Prime Minister is signaling here, not only with his words, but also by his actions in the multiple visits to Karnataka recently and the multiple, infrastructure projects that have been inaugurated, is signaling that the BJP continues to be as battle ready as possible. Very important that you noted, Gaurav, that this speech is not only to the BJP leadership and to its karyakartas, but also an open message to the opposition. Because remember, the opposition has been getting a lot of media traction because of the issues it's been raising, what's been happening in Parliament, what's been happening outside Parliament. Few people would have missed the fact that while the Prime Minister was speaking, there was a torch rally outside Red Fort where certain opposition leaders, were being removed from there and detained as well. So the Prime Minister is basically trying to say this is a union of frustrated parties that have not been able to reach their objectives because of the success of the BJP, and that success is not going to stop this year. That was the basic message that the Prime Minister was putting out, and he also basically said that the frustration of those parties is manifesting itself in this smear campaign against institutions, a smear campaign against the government. Having said that, the Prime Minister knows very well that each of his speeches is also politically active, Gaurav. Every one of his speeches will go out into the general public. It's not just about the Karyakartas. As you rightly said, it's also very much about Karnataka.
It's about Karnataka. It's setting up the template. But very interesting, when the Prime Minister Aishwarya says, and Shiv, I'll come back to you in just a moment on the same point, hostile forces are getting together both outside and inside the country. This country, India, the Prime Minister has repeatedly said, we are the mother of democracy, the strongest amongst the strongest democracies in the world. We have strong foundations, but constitutional bodies are being targeted. Their credibility is being targeted, whether it's the agencies that take action against the corrupt or courts when they deliver verdicts, Aishwarya. So this is a very targeted attack on the opposition that's saying agencies are an extension of the BJP.
Well, Gaurav, there's a very old saying, killing two birds with one stone. But I think what the Prime Minister really tried to do in the past 40 minutes was to make sure he killed many birds using one stone. What he spoke about the fact, and that's what the BJP also was speaking about when Rahul Gandhi spoke in the UK, was the fact that if you have a problem, come on the floor and speak on the floor. Do not try to tarnish the image of the country in the UK on foreign soil. And that's exactly what the Prime Minister has also said, that there are many forces at play, not just the opposition parties, also many, foreign hand also is something that the Prime Minister spoke about, and that's what the BJP also has been accusing Rahul Gandhi of doing. The party obviously saying that if the opposition has a lot of issues, they need to raise it on the floor of the parliament and not go abroad and then speak about those issues. So the Prime Minister giving a very clear signal, and also, speaking about the fact that this is a party. Right, Gaurav?
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. The Prime Minister says if you have to speak in Parliament. But that's the point that Supriya Srinath was raising, Shiv. When Supriya Srinath says the government doesn't permit the Parliament, and that's the point, that they're not permitting the Parliament to function. But Shiv, targeted attack on India from within and outside. And this is one narrative that the government is taking forward, a systematic attack being mounted on India by forces outside and within.
Gaurav, even the Congress, I'm sure, despite all the bluster and despite all the defenses of what Rahul Gandhi did in the UK, they know that a very emotive Lakshman Rekha was crossed, and it's going to be difficult to actually defend it. Political debates on television are one thing, but in the public view, I think there is a sense of unanimity that Rahul Gandhi did something in the UK that is seen to be inappropriate, which is practically invoke outside intervention of some kind. He didn't use the word intervene, but he basically said, what are you guys doing, the defenders of democracy, which is almost like saying, you should be taking some action because democracy is allegedly dying in India. The BJP is clearly not going to let that issue go, Gaurav, because they know that it has emotive capital. They know that it's an issue that has gone viral on social media, and it's something that Indians easily associate with because of especially because of our past. And therefore, the evaporation of the impact perhaps of the Bharat Jodo Yatra, plus the fact that Rahul Gandhi appears to be lurching from one controversy to the other. First, the UK issue. Yesterday he invoked Savarkar also. That's become a separate issue, and has opened another front for the Congress party. All of this is advantage BJP because it suits their purpose on multiple levels. A, it keeps Rahul Gandhi in the headlines, which suits the BJP as they claim,
Yes.
Gaurav. B, it affects opposition unity. That also helps the BJP. C, it continues to keep the spotlight on the Congress at a time when its ship is not really that strong. Therefore, as Aishwarya said, it's actually killing many birds with one stone. The Prime Minister has tactfully picked each one of these issues and attacked them, in just one 40-minute speech. So I think we should all expect to hear many more of these speeches. Remember, the Congress party has planned to begin a chain of press conferences starting tomorrow in different parts of the country. I don't think we have reason to believe that there will not be similar BJP press conferences across this coalition of the corrupt that he has painted the opposition as. I think that's going to have some resonance going in. So the opposition wants to fight on the corruption plank. The Prime Minister has backhanded it, saying, you guys are the coalition of the corrupt, so why will you not attack me on this issue?
And stay with me for a moment. Let's listen into Prime Minister Narendra Modi when he says that it is actually corruption that's eating this country from within like termites. Listen in.
आज भारत को रोकने के लिए हमारी इस नींव पर चोट की जा रही है, संवैधानिक संस्थाओं पर प्रहार किया जा रहा है, उन्हें बदनाम करने का अभियान छेड़ा जा रहा है, उनकी क्रेडिबिलिटी, उनकी विश्वसनीयता खत्म करने की साजिश की जा रही है। जो लोग भ्रष्टाचार में लिप्त हैं, उन पर जब एजेंसियां कार्रवाई करती हैं तो एजेंसियों पर हमला किया जाता है। जब कोर्ट कोई फैसला सुनाता है तो कोर्ट पर सवाल उठाए जाते हैं, न्यायिक प्रणाली पर हमले होते हैं। पिछले 9 वर्षों में भाजपा सरकार ने 1,10,000 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा की संपत्ति जब्त की है। पहले के मुकाबले 2 गुने से ज्यादा केस रिकॉर्ड किए गए हैं और 15 गुना ज्यादा लोगों को गिरफ्तार किया गया है। कांग्रेस शासन के दौरान बैंकों को जमकर के लूटा, बैंकों का करीब 22,000 करोड़ रुपए का नुकसान करके ये लोग विदेश भाग गए। आज भाजपा सरकार ने इन लोगों की करीब करीब 20,000 करोड़ रुपए की संपत्ति जब्त करवा दी है।
So has the Prime Minister set the template? It's the battle of the narratives and we'll get you all sides of the story. A quick break. Rajdeep Sardesai comes up next on the other side of a quick break with the news today. Stay with us.
टाइमिंग की बात करते हैं तो बहुत सारे लोग टाइमिंग, किसी भी एक्शन को टाइमिंग से जोड़ते हैं कि ये फेयर था या नहीं फेयर था। जैसे मान लीजिए बीबीसी ने सरकार के खिलाफ कोई डॉक्यूमेंट्री दिखा दी तो कुछ हफ्तों के बाद उनके ऊपर आईटी की कार्रवाई हो गई।
नहीं, मैं तो डॉक्यूमेंट्री के टाइमिंग पर सवाल उठाता हूँ। ये पूरी घटना 2002 की है, चुनाव है 2024 में, आप 2023 में देखा, तो आप इसके टाइमिंग की क्यों बात नहीं कर रहे हो भाई? और जहां तक ये इनकम टैक्स के टाइमिंग की बात है, मैंने भी पूछा किसी को, ये 3 साल से इनके साथ कॉरेस्पॉन्डेंस हो रहा है। अब कोई अपने आप को कानून से ऊपर मानेगा तो कोई नहीं है कानून के ऊपर, सबने कानून के हिसाब से चलना पड़ेगा और आगे बढ़ना पड़ेगा।
Arnab, after Jio's telecom price wars, what's the Reliance game plan in the FMCG space? given the kind of action that is happening in the market, because Reliance has already invested over $1.1 billion in acquisition of brands and partnerships as per a recent report, and it is expected by Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan that it is going to invest another $4 billion in over the next 3 to 5 years, which is equivalent to 33,000 crore in today's currency terms. So that is a significant investment that they are making, and the market competitors in the market, like other leading players, FMCG players, are obviously taking note. Like for example, very recently, Mr. Varun Bedi has said that he is closely watching the development that Reliance and the new products that are coming up from the behemoth. And secondly, if you look at the Reliance's game plan, they have not only purchased new brands or launched new products, but they have also hired some of the key industry veterans. Like for example, they have hired Mr. K. Krishnakumar to head their beverages portfolio, which now includes Campa Cola, a well-known brand from 1970s and 80s. So, of course, industry competitors like HUL and others are obviously watching the developments very closely, and given the kind of price that Reliance is offering in competition to these leading multinationals, of course, there could be some price cuts by them as well, the industry insiders tell us. And if you notice that HUL, after cutting pack sizes significantly over the last 2 years due to inflation, they have now started to increase their pack sizes in terms of grammage. They have started to increase the size of their packs at the same rate of late in the last one and a half months.
Junior NTR's upcoming project NTR 30 has been finally launched, and the opening ceremony took place in Hyderabad in the presence of the cast and crew. Celebrities like S.S. Rajamouli, Prashant Neel, director Korthala Siva, female lead Janhvi Kapoor and music composer Anirudh Ravichandar were also part of the event. This will also mark Janhvi's Telugu debut opposite Junior NTR. The first clap for the film was performed by RRR filmmaker S.S. Rajamouli. The camera was switched on by Korthala Siva, while Prashant Neel oversaw the first shot. For the Mahurat ceremony, Junior NTR kept it simple and casual in white, whereas Janhvi went all desi in a green Kanjivaram sari. Junior NTR, who is basking in the success of his last film RRR, returned to India after attending the 95th Academy Awards and was mobbed by a sea of fans at the Hyderabad airport. Not long ago, the song from RRR, Natu Natu, had scripted history by becoming the first Indian song to win the Oscars, and Junior NTR turned heads with his Gaurav Gupta customized ensemble on the red carpet. Janhvi Kapoor, on the other hand, was last seen in Milli, and now apart from NTR 30, she also has Bawal and Mr. and Mrs. Mahi in her kitty.
Let's take a look at the weather report across the major cities this evening. Thiruvananthapuram is at 33 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 56. Mumbai is at 31 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 109. Panaji is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 82. Ahmedabad is at 34 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 81. Bhopal is at 33 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 59. Jaipur is at 31 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 110. Delhi is at 30 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 151. Srinagar is at 20 degrees Celsius with AQI being 36. Lucknow is at 32 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 142. Patna is at 35 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 139. Kolkata is at 34 degrees with an AQI of 129. Hyderabad is at 36 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 110. Bangalore is at 33 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 96. Chennai is at 33 degrees Celsius with an AQI of 56. This is all we have for you in this segment. Hope wherever you are, you find favorable weather around you. Keep watching India Today for all the weather updates with me, AI Sana, all through the day.
Co-presented by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist. Co-presented by Panasonic, create today, enrich tomorrow. Co-presented by JK Tyre Ranger Series, stay wild at heart.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're with the news today, Tuesday night. And the big story is coming from Prime Minister Modi attempting to set the terms of the debate. Coalition of the corrupt is what he calls the opposition versus the BJP. Mission 2024, is that the terms of the debate being attempted by the Prime Minister? We'll try and raise that question tonight. But first, the 9 headlines at 9. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hits back at his critics, slams the Congress as institutions being maligned because corruption being uprooted, accuses the opposition of running a Bhrashtachari Bachao campaign, alleges the Congress plotted to put him in jail. As the disqualification showdown over Rahul Gandhi gets bigger, Congress protests across the national capital, top leaders detained. Congress says Satyagraha has scared the dictators. Tomorrow, the Congress will organize press conferences across the country. Opposition likely to move a no-confidence motion in the against Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla over Rahul Gandhi's disqualification. 50 MPs could move no-trust motion. Savarkar comment divides Congress allies after Shiv Sena. Now Sharad Pawar also warns Rahul against targeting Savarkar. Sources say Rahul Gandhi has promised to stay away from the Savarkar issue for now. Don Atiq Ahmed gets his first conviction in 17 years in 2006 Prayagraj abduction case. The former MP asked to move back to Sabarmati jail. Atiq's brother Ashraf and 7 others are acquitted. Madras High Court settles Jayalalitha legacy war, dismisses O. Paneerselvam plea, state set for EPS to be AIDMK leader. 10 days on, manhunt for Amritpal still on the run. Video from March 21st shows the fugitive Khalistani leader and aide Pappal Preet in East Delhi. CBI's fresh move to bring back fugitive and PNB scam accused Mehul Choksi. Agency says it will use a new charge sheet to convince Interpol that he is a repeat offender. And EPFO raises interest rates to 8.15% from 8.1% earlier on the Employee Provident Fund deposits for 22-23. But the big story that's breaking, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has launched a massive attack on his political critics. Addressing the BJP workers at the party's headquarters, the Prime Minister equated Congress with dynasty, riots and corruption. Referring to the opposition's united front against him and the alleged misuse of central agencies by his government, the Prime Minister lashed out, calling his critics a Bhrashtachari Bachao Abhiyan. The Prime Minister went on to say that he will not stop his fight against corruption. Mr. Modi also claimed that his rivals had earlier tried to jail him on false charges but failed. Mr. Modi's comments come days after a Surat court sentenced Rahul Gandhi to 2 years in jail in a criminal defamation case. His attack comes even as the Congress has launched their own 1 month-long nationwide campaign against Rahul Gandhi's disqualification. A black day is being observed by the Congress, and tomorrow the Congress is expected to hold press conferences against the country. It appears for now the battle for 24 has begun. Let's listen in to Prime Minister Modi.
देश की जनता देख रही है कि पहले की सरकारों ने किस तरह भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ कार्रवाई के नाम पर केवल खानापुरी की थी, लेकिन पिछले 9 साल में भाजपा सरकार ने भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ जो अभियान चलाया, उसने आज भ्रष्टाचार और भ्रष्टाचारियों दोनों की जड़ें हिला दी है। पहले के मुकाबले 2 गुने से ज्यादा केस रिकॉर्ड किए गए हैं और 15 गुना ज्यादा लोगों को गिरफ्तार किया गया है। कांग्रेस शासन के दौरान बैंकों को जमकर के लूटा। बैंकों का करीब 22,000 करोड़ रुपए का नुकसान करके ये लोग विदेश भाग गए। आज भाजपा सरकार ने इन लोगों की करीब करीब 20,000 करोड़ रुपए की संपत्ति जब्त करवा दी है। बड़े बड़े नेता कहते थे जनसंघ को जड़ से उखाड़कर फेंक देंगे, ये उनके बड़े बड़े नेता बोलते थे जी। और आज की कांग्रेस कहती है कि मोदी तेरी कब्र खुदेगी। जनसंघ को मिटाने की, भाजपा को मिटाने की अनेक बार साजिशें हुई, और ये तो वो लोग हैं जिन्होंने मुझे भी जेल में डालने के लिए क्या क्या जाल नहीं बिछाई, लेकिन वो पूरी तरह नाकाम रहे।
The Prime Minister then breathing fire at a time when the political temperature is rising. The big questions as we immediately trigger off our big debate tonight. Has Mr. Modi set the terms for Mission 2024? Is it for him? Corruption going to be a big issue? Will his anti-dynasty call deliver again? Will Parliament ouster get Rahul Gandhi's sympathy? Prime Minister Modi now versus the Congress and the Gandhis. Who holds the aces? That's the question we are going to raise tonight. Joining me now, Supriya Srinath of the Congress and Shehzad Poonawala of the BJP. And I'm joined by Sandeep Shastri, coordinator, Lokniti Network, and someone who knows inside out of the next big state going to the polls, Karnataka. But first, let's come to what the Prime Minister said and get reaction. Supriya Srinath, Prime Minister Modi saying this is a Bhrashtachari Bachao Andolan which has come together. The opposition is targeting him because he is exposing their corruption. How do you respond?
It's the most ridiculous statement that a Prime Minister can make. A Prime Minister who presides over a government that is out to protect a man saddled with charges of corruption, saddled with charges of scam, a man who's in the center of a scam who the Prime Minister is giving political patronage to, who the Prime Minister has put Indian Parliament at stake for, who the Prime Minister has disqualified the most important voice of the opposition for. It's absolutely ridiculous and actually exposes his hypocrisy. A Prime Minister who goes to Karnataka, the most corrupt government in the world as far as governance is concerned, holds the hand of Mr. Yadurappa, who was removed on corruption charges. 40% commission, pay CM, that is what his government is called. The Prime Minister sounds rattled. He sounds like someone who wants to distract and deflect the narrative. But the reality is that India's Prime Minister and his patronage to Gautam Adani, his conspicuous silence on the entire scam, and the inaction of the agencies actually tell who is perpetrating the most corrupt. And it is India's Prime Minister, Narendra Modi.
So you're saying that the Prime Minister says Bhrashtachari Bachao to the opposition. You're saying that it is about Adani Bachao. Is that what you're saying? That effectively for the Congress, what is your slogan? The Prime Minister has given his slogan saying that I am the one who's taking on dynasty and I'm taking on the corrupt. What is your slogan?
Rahul, to nishana hai, Adani ko bachana hai. The fact that mics are switched off, the fact that 18 parts of Rahul Gandhi's speech, which exposed the Adani-Modi link, the fact that he was not given a chance to respond in Parliament despite 2 written requests and 1 verbal countenance with the Lok Sabha Speaker, and the fact, the way in which he was disqualified, and I have no desire to mince my words here. I will quote my friend Karti Chidambaram, who says this is reverse engineering. Absolutely it is. They wanted him to disqualify it. They were waiting for the trigger. They found the trigger in an inactive case. The case was dormant till after the Adani speech. The application for stay was withdrawn by the petitioner, and then the disqualification happened. Do you not think that India's Prime Minister and his entire cabinet and his MPs who have decided to turn trolls are actually all out to protect Gautam Adani? That's all that they are doing. Okay, so they are putting Indian democracy and Parliament at stake to do that. Okay, you made your point. Shehzad Poonawala respond. The Congress's slogan now, from what Supriya Srinath is saying, Adani ko bachana hai, Rahul Gandhi bahana hai. So effectively, they are claiming that while the Prime Minister says Bhrashtachari Bachao Andolan is there against him, they say the Prime Minister is trying to save who they call his friend Gautam Adani.
In fact, Rajdeep, if you will indulge me in the same manner as you have indulged Supriya, the slogan for them is this: भ्रष्टाचार में लिप्त परिवार, चाहे भ्रष्टाचार का परम सिद्ध अधिकार, कोई पकड़े कोर्ट करे कार्रवाई तो चिल्लाए अत्याचार अत्याचार, सड़कों से लेकर स्टूडियो तक और स्टूडियो से लेकर संसद तक करे दुराचार, और ये बन चुका है इस भ्रष्ट परिवार का शिष्टाचार. दिस इज देयर नारा, एंड आई टेल यू व्हाई. आज तो जो परिवार बेल पर बाहर है, and they have been granted bail, but no case has been quashed even when they went up to the Supreme Court, and the case was finalized by the trial court against them in 2012. That family forms an alliance of commissioned corruption and obsession against Modi and ambition for position with RJD, who has been convicted 4 times, with TMC, against whom there are cases that have been ordered by the by the High Court, and CBI cases have been ordered, with the Aam Aadmi Party, whom till yesterday they were calling corrupt, Satyendra Jain and others, and they come together because the agencies are acting against them and courts are not giving them relief. So are they saying that the courts are against them, and their corruption model has now been printed and published in FATF? Forget anybody else's slogan of corruption or who has been charged of corruption. Your first family, how they were pressurizing businessmen to buy paintings for money, has been recorded in FATF, which was until now recording only the acts of terrorism of Pakistan. But this is your status. Now let me come to 2-3 points quickly.
They are saying, Shehzad Poonawala, they are saying that the BJP wants to protect its
please don't interrupt. Let I complete my full statement. Rajdeep, I know you do not need to repeat. Rajdeep, I'll make my opening statement. I will answer all your questions. Please give me the courtesy. I request you. Rajdeep, you were yesterday on the same panel as me and the spokesperson of the Congress, along with senior editor Rahul Kaval. 2 things were said on that panel, and I want to play that statement made by the very same spokesperson yesterday, and please allow me to do it because I'm putting out facts.
Surely you need to be able to explain where that figure is coming from, ma'am. It's a very legitimate question.
No. Rahul Kaval, it is not about Adani defense. I am not going to reveal to you something that we are going to come up with tomorrow. I will not do that.
Yesterday, Rahul Kaval, senior editor of India Today, your colleague, asked Supriya Shrineth a specific question. The 20,000 crore figure of infusion of money into shell companies was being bandied about by Rahul Gandhi and company. He asked, where is that source? What is the source? Please put it out. And at the very least, she should have gone and filed a complaint against it. Forget that. Today, she was going to do some big...
Please wear your mic. Your mic has fallen.
...press conference. But not a single word was spoken. Now, 1 second, Rajdeep. Rajdeep, I am placing facts. Please be patient for 5 more seconds. I request you. I my voice. I am making a fundamental point. I request you for your indulgence.
Please wear your mic. We can't hear you. I'm asking you to wear your mic. Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
On point number 1, on Rahul Kaval's show where you were a witness, this spokesperson said that today she will unveil the 20,000 crore figure. At the very least, this party should have gone and filed a complaint in a court if they have such evidence. At the very least, they should have cancelled projects of Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh if they had so much of proof. But today she did a press conference and tie fish, nothing was disclosed. I want her to use the channel and the platform today to make that disclosure where that 20,000 figure has come from, crore figure has come from. And second point, TMC is on record saying they don't want JPC, but Derek O'Brien, whom you know very well, I'm quoting Derek O'Brien's exact statement. He says that every state government where there is an Adani project should order a probe against it. This is a statement given on 17th March. I do not lie, it's been quoted in the Deccan Herald also. I am asking if these peoples are the bastion of so much of integrity on this Adani issue. Have they ordered a probe on the Adani issue in their own states? Rahul Gandhi comes and says, Adani is BJP. That's what he said. You were there in that press conference. That BJP is protecting Adani because Adani is BJP, BJP is Adani. In that case, why have you allowed the project to continue in your states? In that case, why haven't you ordered a probe against them as demanded by Derek O'Brien? And in that case, why hasn't Suchita Shrineth, who did a press conference this morning, opened the...
You made your point. You made your point. I will ask you to adjust your mic even better. You've made your point. Let Supriya Shrineth now respond to you. Supriya Shrineth, you did say that you will expose this 20,000 crores that you claim has come through shell companies A. Are you going to expose that? You all are having a series of press conferences. You all were supposed to do an expose on Adani linking in a way this shell company money to the BJP. Is that going to happen, or are you simply throwing mud and hoping some of it will stick?
Don't confuse us for the BJP. We are not people who lie and then run away. We are not people who says na khaunga na khane dunga kyunki sab kuch Adani ko khila dunga. We are not those people. We will not do that. The BJP will neither decide the time nor the date for an expose of our press conference. There are various reasons why we did not do the press conference.
No, 1 minute. So, Shehzad, she must be allowed to speak.
All across the country, and everybody will get to know. And everybody will get to know your truth. Everybody gets to know your true colors. The reality, Rajdeep, is very simple. The reality is that the question that Rahul Gandhi raised on the 7th of February inside Parliament and repeatedly outside, or that any of us are asking, is a question today that this country is asking. Why is it that the Modi government, the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, ministers of this government and MPs are all out there in full force, putting their own credibility at stake to protect Gautam Adani? What is it all about? And may I point you in the direction? You really have to be a dimwit to not know the 20,000 crore figure. And I've actually messaged your colleague Rahul. He should sack his research team if they can't find out. $5.7 billion that came in as FDI money. $2.6 billion of that money were from offshore shell companies. Those shell companies belong to Gautam Adani. Is it so difficult for you to put the math together? I would want to ask the BJP.
So you're claiming all the money that has come through these offshore shell companies, all this money that has come through offshore shell companies, you're claiming to me is not Gautam Adani's money, is money that he has held on behalf of the BJP. Is that what you're claiming? Is that what the 20,000 crores is about? And if so, you're going to have to provide
evidence that goes beyond just saying that this money has come through FDI. You are referring to a Financial Times report, but it's going to have to be more than just that.
I think absolutely. I'm only raising a question. ये 20,000 crore किसके हैं? Who does 20,000 crore, nearly $3 billion worth of money belong to? This is not Gautam Adani's money. Whose money is it? Why does the government not want to know? Why does the government not have a fair probe? Okay, let's say we are all lying. Let us say the entire opposition is a pack of liars. If they are true and if they are true to the constitution, why are they shying away from a JPC? Set a probe. Get agencies to investigate. Why are you not letting agencies function? Why are you not letting an ED, a CBI, a DRI come and function?
Okay.
That's a simple question.
Okay, you're saying, you made your point. I will allocate time fairly, Mr. Poonawalla. You must be a little patient as well. Mr. Poonawalla, the point which is being made today, the Prime Minister, let's focus. The Prime Minister has said that the opposition is an alliance of the corrupt. The opposition is saying the Prime Minister today is protecting his corrupt friends, i.e. in their, they claim Gautam Adani, and I use Rahul Gandhi's words, is totally corrupt. Therefore, my question to you, Mr. Poonawalla, is the Prime Minister seems unwilling to debate Adani. He is debating everything else but Gautam Adani. According to the Congress, the Prime Minister protects the BJP's corruption in Karnataka but will target opposition-ruled states. Is corruption the central issue according to you, Mr. Poonawalla, in 2024?
May I answer? And I hope I won't be interrupted like Supriya was given a leeway to answer. Thank you. First of all, Rajdeep, it is for your viewers to see how this loud-mouthed spokesperson has run away from something she said 24 hours ago. And this is the constant goalpost changing that the Congress party indulges in. I showed you the statement of Mr. Khadge also. On 2nd February, he said that either Supreme Court probe or JPC. And when one of them has been put in motion, now they have changed the goalpost again. And you can see how this loud-mouthed spokesperson has the gumption to lie. Now forget that. I say let's assume what she's saying is true for a moment. That we are defending Adani, right? That's her charge. Let's then put what Derek O'Brien has said, their ally now, their friend in need. He has said all state governments, including the West Bengal government, on 17th of March, should order a probe against Adani because Adani's money is not Adani's money, it's BJP's money, as per this loud-mouthed spokesperson. Then, what is taking her so much time from 17th of March to 30th of March to not order a probe? अरे कुछ छुपाना नहीं है ना. गहलोत ने कोई भ्रष्टाचार किया है क्या? करो ना ऑर्डर. बाघेल ने कुछ छुपाया है क्या? करो ना ऑर्डर. And nothing precludes this lady and her party to order a state government probe or a probe of any agency while a probe of Supreme Court is or is not going on or a JPC is or is not ordered. That much law, Rajdeep, even though you never practice, you also know. Now thirdly, Rajdeep, who are their allies? Their allies is Lalu Prasad, who's been convicted 4 times. Their ally is who? Mamta Banerjee, whose corruption is called out by Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. Their ally is who? Satyendra Jain and Kejriwal, whose corruption is called out by Ajay Makan. Am I the one who's responsible? When they say that action on Satyendra Jain is correct and action on Sonia Gandhi is incorrect, whose double standards are being seen? Agency is good when it pursues corruption of Satyendra Jain, and agency is bad because it pursues corruption of Sonia Gandhi. Sonia Gandhi has come from a different planet, or there is secular corruption and communal corruption. There are 2 kinds of corruption, like good corruption and bad corruption, just like Pakistan had good terror and bad terror. Now I am coming to a final point. Please, Rajdeep, I hope she doesn't get palpitations and starts abusing. Please listen to the last point. Now, Rajdeep,
can I please
the agencies
you will
do
respond,
ma'am. They do,
please wait.
and they go to a court of law. Sonia, please wait your turn. It's called waiting your turn. And
no. Shehzad, let me anchor. I am the anchor for a while at least. You focus on your statement.
Now, yeah. How can I focus if she keeps interjecting? Now let me make my last point. Rajdeep, I just have one question. Let's assume that Modi, BJP, ED, CBI सब vendetta पे काम कर रहे हैं. Court तो निष्पक्ष है ना जी. Till date, no court has said caged parrot like it said for her government and her government's use of CBI. So she should pipe down, either go prove her case in court or else stop making these accusations against Baba Saheb Ambedkar's constitution and against the agencies that are working independently. They abuse OBC, now they abuse Baba Saheb's constitution, they abuse the courts. Who do they think they are? Some entitled diners?
You made your point. Supriya Shrined, the charge which is being made
is that the Congress party, and from entitlement comes Mr. Modi's second attack today. He says this is a party of dinners. The Congress party is a party which has scant respect for institutions, and Mr. Modi therefore claims that all of this is being done because he is trying to go on a mission to cleanse the system. How do you respond to that charge? Entitled dinners who believe that they are above the law is what the Prime Minister seemed to suggest. Okay, we'll try and get Supriya Srinet's line because Supriya Srinet's line has been disconnected for a moment. But therefore, while we do that, Sandeep Shastri, you're listening and you're in Karnataka, which is going to be the battleground state. Are these issues that will play out, the alleged Modi-Adani nexus, Rahul Gandhi's disqualification, dynasty politics, Bhrashtachar, are any of these issues in your view resonating in Karnataka, the next big battleground state?
Rajdeep, all these issues are very critical. And as you said at the start of the discussion, I think what the Prime Minister today has done is the tone, the terms and the trajectory of the debate, not only for Karnataka, but right up to the 2024 elections has been laid. For me, Rajdeep, what has been happening both in the studio here and in the public debate is this perception battle on corruption. Both sides are trying to argue that we are fighting that battle. When today the government makes the stand that we are fighting against the Bhrashtachari Bachao Andolan, the government is trying to claim that we are at the forefront of the fight of corruption, and that's one way of taking attention away from the opposition's charge that nothing is being done by the government on the question of corruption. So on this whole question of corruption, like we have seen in previous elections, when an issue came up from one side, the other side tried to capture that issue from a different perspective, and you are seeing that happen in this election. Yes, corruption is an issue. It will be an issue in Karnataka. It will be an issue next year. And I think both sides are trying to develop a narrative as part of that perception to be able to influence their voters that yes, corruption is the issue, governance is the issue, and our perspective is the one which highlights the reality. So if you look at both sides, the debate is on a similar issue. It's like two sides of the coin. Right. The only thing is which side of the coin does the ruling party want to focus on, which side of the coin does the opposition want to focus on is what is becoming increasingly clear. And I think this election in Karnataka and next year's election across the country will be a critical battle of perceptions. As does the voter believe the perception perspective of the ruling party, or does it believe the perception perspective which is being put up by the opposition? Right. That I think is going to be the critical fight in Karnataka, in the North Indian states at the end of the year, and in the national politics next year.
I'll come to you as to who is winning this perception battle in a moment. But Supriya Shrinet, before your line broke up, what I was raising, and Shehzad Poonawala tried to make the point, claiming that the Congress party is a party of entitled dinners, is how the Prime Minister projected the Congress party today, that this is a party which is above the law, and because the Prime Minister claims that his government is acting against corruption, therefore the Congress is raising in a way issues to deflect public attention. How do you respond that the Congress will have to work with the baggage of the past if it is going to make corruption center stage? Every time you will raise Gautam Adani, they will say, well, Mr. Adani has business interests in Congress-ruled states, and they will go back into the past and they will talk about misuse of institutions in the past. Is that a problem for the Congress to be able to win a battle on corruption?
I'm absolutely amused and a little disappointed with India's Prime Minister. You are the chosen democratic prime minister of this country. At least have the the moral compass to say the right things. You are giving political patronage to a man who's saddled with charges of stock rigging, web of shell companies, Benami money flowing into India. You have ensured he has leading monopolies in ports, airports, renewable energy and the rest by changing rules despite opposition in writing from both the Finance Ministry and Niti Aayog. And you have the gumption to go there on stage and talk about who's shielding the corrupt. That's point number one. Point number two, and a very important point I want to make here. Meghalaya elections, remember what the BJP said? Both Amit Shah, Narendra Modi ji and of course Mr. JP Nadda. They said Meghalaya's government is the most corrupt. They will set up a special task force to probe into corruption charges. The elections are over and they're hand in glove with that government. They're back with their partners. Where is the action against corrupt? I would want to know that. In Karnataka, Santosh Patil, one of their own workers, wrote to the Prime Minister in writing that this is a 40% commission government. They are asking commission from me too. I cannot pay it and so I'm committing suicide. One of your own. The Contractors Association has written multiple letters to the Prime Minister highlighting the 40% commission issue. The Prime Minister doesn't speak a word. You run the most corrupt government anywhere in the world and you have the gumption to go on stage and talk against action on corruption. And I also want to make one very brief point
The
here.
dynasty question, the dynasty, the sense of entitlement.
But here is a spokesperson. 1 second, Rajdeep. Rajdeep, 1 second. I will answer that question and I will answer that question. As far as the entitled is concerned, there are people in your government, if given a chance, the CBI, the ED and the DRAI should be arresting these people. Why do you shield them? Why do you not have cases anymore against a Hemanto Biswa Sarma or a Suvendu Adhikari or a Narayan Rane or a Yadurappa or a Reddy brothers? Why is there no case against Smriti Irani and for all the allegations that came to fore about what was happening with business interests that she has? What about Piyush Goyal and the cases against him? These are very important questions that will be raised. Entitlement comes at the cost of protecting Gautam Adani. It's as simple as that. I want to say something in the next 10 seconds and it needs to be said. I think I never get into semantics of one spokesperson or the other because they all come from the, they all cut from the same cloth. They are supposed to come here and lie through their teeth. But the more you lie and the more disrespectful you are and the more you call Mrs. Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi and Ashok Gehlot and Bhupesh Baghel, the better it is for us. Go on. Disrespect the Gandhis, disrespect elected leaders, disrespect chief ministers. The world should know that you are willing to leave no stone unturned to protect Gautam Adani, because the world knows that this whole image that was built of the Prime Minister is coming crumbling down. The world is today asking questions.
Gautam Adani, before I go to Shehzad, and trust me, I will give equal time. Before I go to Shehzad, I will ask you one more time. Ma'am, if Gautam Adani is so... No, 1 minute, ma'am. If Gautam Adani is so corrupt as your leader claimed, why is your government in Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan wooing him? These are Congress governments. My point is, if you all have decided that Adani equals corruption, then how do your state governments deal with the same individual?
Very valid question, and I'm glad you asked me that question. So all action against a certain individual will be taken by the two state governments that we have. All action in the Supreme Court, which is not looking into the Adani scam, but actually looking at the review of regulatory framework. Details should be furnished by us. The elected government of the day, with governments in 16 states now, is just going to sit there pretty and keep being a cheerleader of Prime Minister Modi as he keeps protecting Adani. Is that what you're essentially saying here? Because the businesses that Adani has, whether in Chhattisgarh or Rajasthan, were won by tendering process. He was the L1 bidder. There was a transparent process. Nobody was barred from entering. We did not send ED to houses of people or put them in the NCLT and then coerce them into selling their businesses to Adani.
Okay,
that's the reality and that's the difference. Rajdeep,
Shehzad Poonawala.
Mr. Modi is actually putting his personal credibility at stake to protect Gautam Adani.
Okay, you made your point, ma'am. Ma'am, now you made your point. I've given you enough time. I'm giving both equal time. Shehzad Poonawala, you're going, this is all against the backdrop of an election in Karnataka. The fact is, your government there has been called by even neutral observers as a government that has much to answer for on the issue of corruption. The so-called 40% commission government. Contractors have written accusing your government. Can the BJP really take a moral high ground on, at a moment like this? Really, doesn't it? Do you really believe that the BJP can take a moral, just a minute ma'am, moral high ground on the issue of corruption at a moment like this when Karnataka is coming to the polls?
Okay. Rajdeep, I hope you will be indulgent and protect me when I make my statement, and I'll start with your question first. You said that if there is an allegation of 40% corruption in Karnataka, with what moral stand-I can you make accusations at others? I respect your question, Rajdeep. But then tell me, those who are out on bail and get no relief from court and whose corruption has been published in FATF report, they will lecture us about corruption. RJD, who has been convicted multiple times and an ongoing probe in a matter started by JDU is taking place, they will lecture us about corruption. And we should listen. On an allegation, we have no moral standing, and they on conviction have all the moral standing. ये उनका चमत्कार और हमारा गुनहगार, राजदीप ऐसे नहीं चलता. दूसरी बात, Madam spokesperson said she's very disappointed with Prime Minister. Look, when Rahul Gandhi is your leader, your default setting is disappointment, madam. I don't need your happiness or your any kind of satisfaction from Prime Minister. The people of India, including the people of Northeast, whose gamusa I'm wearing, have endorsed the Prime Minister. Your disappointment should be with the leader who can't win your puny election anywhere in this country. So please focus on the disappointment you have in the name of and the form of Rahul Gandhi. Now, thirdly, she's speaking about Meghalaya. I ask Madam Spokesperson, forget about our stand on Meghalaya or not about Meghalaya. I'll tell you the stand right away. But you first tell me, ये नया भ्रष्टाचार का भाईचारा बना है, तब से सत्येंद्र जैन करप्ट लग रहा है या नहीं लग रहा है? मनीष सिसोदिया करप्ट लग रहा है नहीं लग रहा है? या यहाँ पर भी अब यू टर्न कर दिया आपने? बताइए जरा, अजय माकन को कूड़े के डिब्बे में डाला है या सुप्रिया श्रीनेत कह रही है सत्येंद्र जैन करप्ट है, कह रही है मनीष सिसोदिया करप्ट है? चलिए आप इसको प्रोसेस कीजिए, उसी तरीके से प्रोसेस कीजिए जो राजदीप ने सवाल पूछा. द क्वेश्चन राजदीप आस्क्ड यू दैट भाई साहब आप करे तो चमत्कार और कोई और करे तो गुनहगार. If Adani is ipso facto corrupt, his money is BJP money, his entire holdings are stock manipulations and our shell company holdings, then why aren't you, forget cancelling, ordering a probe against the Adani projects in your states as demanded not by Shehzad but by your newfound friend Mr. Derek O'Brien on 17th March? बताइए ये hypocrisy नहीं है तो क्या है? And finally, let me come to the fact. They said misuse of agency. She's going on and on about. By the way, Mulayam Singh Yadav ji, the DA case against him started during the UPA. Samajwadi Party is on record to say that it was misused by Congress Party, and the closure report happened in 2019. If we were misusing the CBI or the ED to fix people, why would we ever allow the closure report? So your own people who are standing with you for one day have acknowledged that who misused the agencies and who have not misused the agencies. The court also endorses that. And Rajdeep, finally, I have just one question to ask her. Let's forget everything else. Everything else is out of syllabus, very difficult for her. Supriya ji, agar aap mein naitikta aur integrity hai, is Lalu Prasad Yadav who's convicted of corruption corrupt? Yes or no? Why are you in government with him in Bihar?
Okay, you made, you've used Lalu Prasad Yadav's name 4 times. I will give Supriya Shrinet, before I go to Sandeep Shastri, a chance to answer. Supriya Shrinet, corruption is an issue which actually brought down, many believe, your government in 2014. There were a series of alleged scams that tainted your government. Do you believe that's the issue on which you can actually target Mr. Modi today by using, in a way, Mr. Gautam Adani? Or do you believe, because Mr. Gautam Adani has friends in all parties, let's be very clear, including some who were sitting at the dinner yesterday with Mr. Kharge. Is that the issue? Or are you going to go back to what you all said were the earlier real issues, unemployment, rising prices? Is in a way what's happening actually distracting the opposition from what was going to be their original narrative?
Okay, so here's my answer, and I think I'm giving a very candid answer here. Mr. Adani is the reason why India is battling high prices, why India is battling unemployment, why India is battling gross levels of income inequality. Because the government is so focused on protecting him now and of course pushing him to the number 2 position earlier, that rules were bent, policies were made for him, level playing fields were distorted, one after the other. I have given you instances. On airport, the finance ministry objected, Niti Aayog objected. On ports, there was a written objection, and still rules of SEZ were changed for him. So here is a man who's a complete creation, whose monopoly is created by policy formulation done by one government. How can we not question that? How can we not question the fact that
but
this
they will also have the right to question that they will also have the right to question that if there are people within your alliance who have been jailed for corruption and have not got relief from courts, how can you take the moral high ground?
I will tell you why I will take the moral high ground. Because if the BJP is all clean and if the BJP wants to cleanse the system, start from within. Put Hemanta Biswa Sarma behind bars, put Suvendu Adhikari behind bars, put Narayan Rane behind bars, put Yadurappa behind bars. They are not even being called for questioning. इन्होंने तो वो वॉशिंग मशीन खरीदी है जिसमें गंगा जल और सर्फ डाल के ये सारे दाग धब्बे धो देते हैं. This cannot happen. That ED cases against opposition account for 95% of all cases. ED cases go up 4-fold since 2014. What are we talking about? Is there a level playing field that they are referring to? And one simple submission that I had made, I got no answers to. Where is the special task force to probe the corruption allegations in Meghalaya? I didn't raise them. Amit Shah, Narendra Modi and JP
So you're saying,
where is the probe against the Karnataka government, the 40% PCM government that you preside over? Where are all those probes? Where is that investigation?
So you're claiming the BJP is a washing machine. I will give one more chance to Shehzad and then a final word to Sandeep Shastri. Shehzad Poonawalla, let's be clear. Has the Prime Minister set the terms of the debate on corruption?
But why should you not give me one more chance?
Okay, we'll wait to hear. We'll wait to hear what Shehzad has to say. Shehzad, washing machine. This is going to be, if you keep claiming that this is a coalition, Bhrashtachari Bachao Andolan, they will say, Aapka washing machine Andolan. Aap BJP join karo and you become and it's the washing machine. Quick response.
राजदीप, दिस इज अ ब्रोकन रिकॉर्डिंग मशीन. ये इनका यही टेप बज रहा है. येदियुरप्पा को डालो, हेमंता को डालो. अबे प्रूफ है आपके पास तो सिंघवी को भेजो, चिदंबरम को भेजो और क्रिमिनल कंप्लेंट के माध्यम से करवाओ कार्रवाई. सोनिया गांधी के विषय में कार्रवाई क्रिमिनल कंप्लेंट से हुई. कोई आपकी एजेंसी ने शुरुआत नहीं की थी उसकी कार्रवाई. आपके पास सारे तथ्य तो है, ये सारे भ्रष्ट है. मेघालय सरकार भी भ्रष्ट, सभी है ना आपके पास. तो जाओ ना एक दिन कोर्ट में. इतने विद्वान वकील है. अभी तक तो उन्होंने राहुल गांधी की अपील डाली नहीं है, पर खाली बैठे हैं. इंटरव्यू भी राजदीप को कल देते हैं, तो उनको जाकर बोलिए ना, एक तो क्रिमिनल कंप्लेंट डाल दो. सारे भ्रष्टाचारियों को जेल में क्यों नहीं डालते? केवल राजदीप के शो पर आकर एक ब्रोकन रिकॉर्डिंग मशीन की तरह आउटरीच करने से कोई फायदा नहीं है. अन्यथा ये मान लीजिए सुप्रिया शिनेट दैट यू हैव नो फैक्ट्स अबाउट इट. दिस इज जस्ट अ व्हाट आई से भ्रष्टाचार का भाईचारा. आज अरविंद और लालू लगे प्यारा. इनको केवल टीवी पर देना है नारा और कुछ नहीं इनके पास गवारा. इसीलिए आते हैं और चिल्लाते हैं और चिल्ला पुकार. ये सारा का सारा चिल्ला पुकार है. इनके पास अगर तथ्य होता तो हम सबको जेल भेज दिए होते ना. कोर्ट में जाकर विश्वास नहीं कोर्ट में.
Okay, go ahead, Supriya Shinet. You have a rhyme with what Shehzad Poonawalla said. What's your rhyme of the day?
No,
she started by the way.
1 minute, ma'am. 1 minute, Shehzad.
यही इनकी मानसिकता है. I am entitled. I am entitled. I am entitled.
I am only asking a simple question. You have now.
You started the debate. You should end the debate. ये गजब का entitlement है.
Prove a
what
case.
What is this entitlement?
You have
Why
now
will she have the last word? I will have the last word.
Don't hide behind allegations. Try and prove a case. You can't prove anything. That's your problem. Get personal with me, attack me. It doesn't bother me.
Okay, we've heard both sides. I'm going to dip the volume a bit because I want to know from you, Sandeep Shastri, as you listen patiently. Is there sympathy for Rahul Gandhi because he's disqualified? Do you believe, therefore, that the elections in Karnataka will be fought on local issues, or will this national battle resonate, Modi versus Rahul? Very quickly.
Rajdeep, amidst this flowing poetry and rousing rhetoric, you have raised a very relevant question. The Karnataka battle is really a battle of perceptions. The Congress is using local issues Rahul Gandhi and his issues are nowhere part of the campaign. The BJP is focusing on its central leadership, central government. You rarely have talk of the Karnataka government. It is a double engine government, but there seems to be one engine leading and the other only following. So Karnataka will see a battle between a central leadership driven campaign and a local leadership driven campaign. And the other question you raised, Rajdeep, about perception battles earlier, if the corruption issue is coming up in a big way, both sides are trying to make sure the corruption battle is perceived from their perspective. But then when you have a neatly divided canvas of political polarization, where people tend to listen to that voice which they believe is the right voice, there is a very small group of undivided voters who finally make the choice as to whose perception would they prefer to believe in.
Okay.
I think survey after survey has found that this polarization seems to be very visibly there, and that
so
voter who is undecided is the one.
Either you're pro-Modi or anti-Modi, pro-Congress or anti-Congress, the polarization is setting in, you believe, in politics in Karnataka and beyond. You know, we've gone through 40 minutes almost of a debate without Shehzad Poonawalla and Supriya Shrinate screeching at each other, and that's a good sign, because I think the audience then gets to hear both sides. You can smile a bit, Supriya, you don't have to always be angry. And Shehzad Poonawalla, I'm glad that for once you've also tried to hold your peace, and that's the way it should be. Let's avoid the name calling. Thank you both very much for joining us. We'll see how this plays out, the narratives and the battle of narratives and perceptions. Let's take a break. When we return, I'm going to turn to Rajasthan, to my Get Real India story, because there's much more in this country beyond Modi and Rahul, and our Good News Today story. You're watching the News Today. News without the noise.
कोई भी सिक्योरिटी के बगैर गए, उन्होंने खुद कहा है कि देखिए मैंने लाल चौक में झंडा फहरा दिया। उनको ये मालूम नहीं है आपके समय में नहीं फहरा सकते थे, आज फहरा सकते हो, ये मोदी जी के कारण हुआ है।
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
मेरे मोटिवेशन थी कि मैं इस देश के लिए वर्ल्ड कप जीतना चाहता था।
Cricket heals India.
सबने यही कहा, just go out there and lift this cup.
Yeah, stars had aligned.
I really do feel this is like yesterday.
We have this confidence, that we can lift the cup. We always had that belief.
This was the moment when it came together.
They were the children of destiny, the men of destiny.
Nothing could pin them down.
Welcome back. Let's turn to tonight's Get Real India story, where A health emergency of sorts has now gripped Rajasthan after over 20,000 private doctors staged massive street protests against the Gehlot government. The government there has passed the Right to Health Bill, which effectively allows people to get free treatment even in private hospitals. The fact is, as this stalemate between the government and doctors continues, innocent patients are bearing the brunt. It's our Get Real India story from Rajasthan.
There is a health emergency in Rajasthan. Over 20,000 doctors, mostly from the private sector, are on the road against the Right to Health Bill passed by the Assembly recently. With private hospitals on strike demanding a rollback, the load on government health facilities has increased exponentially. Hundreds of patients are coming to the emergency, and outpatient departments at the state's biggest government hospital, the Savai Mansingh in Jaipur. For nearly a week, patients have been bearing the brunt.
जोधपुर में सर डॉक्टर्स देख रहे थे, पर मैं यहाँ आया तभी यहाँ पे हड़ताल चालू हो गई सर। और सर 3-4 दिन से सर रूम में मेरे होटल के अंदर रूम में इलाज कर रहे थे। अभी यहाँ आए तो सर पेशेंट वार्ड में लिया। सर सभी दादागिरी करते हैं सर इधर, चाहे वो कोई भी हो।
कौन बीमार है पहले आप ये बताइए।
पिताजी मेरे,
उनको अटैक आया?
हाँ।
आसपास कोई
भी प्राइवेट हॉस्पिटल नहीं लिया,
सब बनते प्राइवेट।
सब 3 दिन से ट्राई कर रहे सर।
According to the data received from various districts, about 300 surgeries are being postponed daily.
जो रूटीन ऑपरेशन है, जैसा कि जो पहले हमारे पास औसत जो होते थे 500-700, अब वो 200-225 के बीच में हो रहे हैं पर डे के हिसाब से। आम जो बीमारी के पेशेंट थोड़े कम हुए हैं, लेकिन जो गंभीर बीमारी के मरीज हैं वो कहाँ जाएंगे, तो वो उन्होंने रुख किया है SMS की तरफ।
According to the law, every citizen will have the right to emergency treatment and care in any public health institution without any prepayment. If the patient is unable to bear the cost of the treatment, it will be borne by the state government. For that, a dedicated corpus will be created by the government. The law also provides for free healthcare services at government institutions. It also imposes fines ranging from 10,000 rupees to 25,000 rupees for violations. Doctors argue that this will increase corruption in clearance of bills. They also want emergency situations to be spelt out clearly. The doctors have accused the Ashok Gehlot government of making no efforts to resolve the situation.
जब पूरे राज्य के मुखिया हैं, हम गवर्नर साहब के पास 3 बार अर्जी लगाए। उनका भी कहना ये है कि भाई माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी जो इसमें करेंगे वो करेंगे। रास्ते हमारे लिए वार्ता के लिए खोले, वो व्यक्ति खोले जिनके हाथ में ये क्षमता हो या जिनके पास ये प्रशासनिक संवैधानिक जिम्मेदारी हो कि वो बिल को वापस ले सके। वहाँ हम वार्ता के लिए जाने के लिए तैयार हैं।
बात अच्छी हो रही थी, इनकी कुछ मांगे थी, सरकार ने इनकी सब मांगों को स्वीकार कर लिया। उसके बाद में अचानक ही क्या हुआ कि ये तमाम लोग वापस सड़कों पे आ गए, वो नहीं आना चाहिए था।
The Gehlot government considers the Right to Health Bill a major achievement ahead of the assembly elections this year. But the strike by private hospitals threatens to hit the CM's poll plans. With Jaikishan Sharma and Devankur Vadhavan in Jaipur, Bureau Report, India Today.
That's a story we'll keep tracking. Let's turn and end our show tonight with a good news today story. The story of Suchita Burman from Bangalore, who swam across both sides of the Pork Strait, battling powerful waves. The swim to Sri Lanka and back took her 19 hours. She now aims to swim across other waterways in the country. We wish her well. It's our good news today story. You stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubh Ratri, Namaskar.
A swim from Dhanushkodi to Talai Mannar, a daunting journey of 63 kilometers. Suchita Burman from Bangalore has achieved this milestone.
Incredible experience. It was a lot of excitement. It was a lot of enthusiasm, fear, anxiety, stress. But yeah, it's overcoming all that and finishing what I set out to do is one of the most important things. We started off, it was calm, beautiful water, spectacular. I mean, it was unbelievable how lovely it is. You can actually see the bottom of the floor. And then at about 8:39, things changed. The weather changed. The winds were completely against. It was cloudy. The waves were going really high. There were swirls, literally swirls.
Suchita recounts how the fear of unknown haunted her in the sea.
I was scared for my life, and I had only one small dinghy with me, with the boatman and his son as my crew.
What next for this daredevil? Suchita is planning to explore other waterways in the country like the Sundarbans, Lakshadweep and the Andamans.
We really have such beautiful seas in our world, in our country. We have the Andamans, we have Lakshadweep, we have, the Sundarbans. Little dangerous, but yes, we have some really beautiful waterways. So why not explore that? So maybe to Andamans. How's that?
Bureau Report, India Today.
मेरे लिए मोटिवेशन थी कि मैं इस देश के लिए वर्ल्ड कप जीतना चाहता था.
Cricket heals India.
सबने यही कहा, just go out there and lift this cup.
Yeah, stars had aligned.
I really do feel this is like yesterday.
We had this confidence, that we can lift the cup. We always had that belief.
This was the moment when it came together.
They were the children of destiny, the men of destiny.
Nothing could pin them down.
WPL हर जुबान पर नाम तेरा. Union Bank of India, good people to bank with. Reliance Digital Personalizing Technology. आदित्य बिरला सन लाइफ इंश्योरेंस, इससे जरूरी कुछ भी नहीं.
A name that was synonymous with crime and terror in Uttar Pradesh for the past 44 years, over 4 decades, Atiq Ahmed has finally not only been convicted, but he's been sentenced to a life in prison in an abduction case. Atiq Ahmed is a former member of parliament from Phulpur. Incidentally, Phulpur is a constituency that had sent independent India's first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, to Lok Sabha. Atiq Ahmed has over 100 criminal cases against him. This is his first conviction in 4 decades.
$100 cases, 17 years. First conviction. Don Atiq sentenced to life in jail. Finally, wheels of justice turn. Who shielded Atiq till now? That's our top focus on India First.
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath had pledged on the floor of the State Assembly that Mafia would be destroyed. Mitti mein mila denge is what he'd said. Today, both Raju Pal and Umesh Pal's widows insist their aim is the same. Mafia ko mitti mein milana. Mafia Don Atiq Ahmed's crime empire has to be raised is what the widows are telling India today. 66 Mafia Dons are facing action in Uttar Pradesh, and the question we're asking here on India First, is this the end of Mafia Raj? The first step in the right direction. I'm Gaurav Sawant. We'll get you much more on this big story, but as always, let's get started with the headlines on India First. Prime Minister Narendra Modi slams the Congress, says institutions are being maligned because corruption is being uprooted, accuses the opposition of running Bhrashtachari Bachao campaign, alleges that the Congress had plotted to send him to jail in illegal cases. Disqualification showdown gets bigger. Congress protests in the national capital. Top leaders of the Congress detained. Congress says this satyagrah has scared dictators. Rahul Gandhi's comments on Veer Savarkar divides Congress's allies. After Shiv Sena, now Sharad Pawar warns Rahul Gandhi against targeting Savarkar. Sources say Rahul Gandhi has promised to stay away from the Savarkar issue, at least for now. Ten days on, manhunt for Amritpal Singh still continues. He remains on the run. A video from the 21st of March shows the fugitive Khalistan supporter and an aide, Pappal Preet, in the national capital in East Delhi. CBI's fresh effort to bring back fugitive PNB scam accused Mehul Choksi. The CBI is to use a new charge sheet to convince Interpol, saying Choksi is a repeat offender. Our top focus story on the broadcast is the conviction of Atiq Ahmed, a mafia turned political leader from Uttar Pradesh. There are more than 100 criminal cases against Atiq Ahmed. Today, he was convicted in one such case. The law appears to be finally catching up with Atiq Ahmed. He was sentenced to a life in prison in the case of kidnapping of Umesh Pal. Atiq Ahmed is also the main accused in the murder of Umesh Pal. The wheels of justice finally appear to be turning slowly but surely.
Law finally catches up with Mafia Don turned politician Atiq Ahmed after 17 years. The once feared gangster who ran a reign of terror in eastern Uttar Pradesh and went on to become Samajwadi Party MP is sentenced to life in prison in the 2006 abduction of Umesh Pal. The victim was the prime witness in the murder of BSP MLA Raju Pal, allegedly executed by Atiq in 2005. Umesh Pal, the witness, was killed in February this year and Atiq is an accused in that case as well. The former SP MP and two of his gang members were convicted of abduction, wrongful confinement, breach of peace and criminal intimidation.
जब तक सिद्ध दोष अंतिम नहीं हो जाता है तब तक वह व्यक्ति निर्दोष होता है कानून की निगाह में।
स्ट्रेटेजी बनाई है आपने, कितने दिनों के अंदर करेंगे आप लोग, क्योंकि आज तो फैसला
अभी प्रतिलिपि मिलेगी, तैयार होगा तो उसके बारे में भविष्य तो अंधकार है ना।
51 गवाह उन्होंने अपने डिफेंस की तरफ से पेश किए, उसमें ज्यादातर जो है अपराधी प्रवृत्ति के लोग थे जिनका आपराधिक इतिहास था। आजीवन कारावास से सबसे बड़ी सजा होती है और सारी धाराओं में सजा हुई है।
Family members of the murder victims are demanding death penalty for Atiq.
मैं न्यायालय से यही मांग करती हूँ कि जो है उन्हें फांसी की सजा ही दी जाए, नहीं तो अगर वो जिंदा रहेगा तो कल को हम लोग के लिए भी खतरा बन सकता है। और मेरे पास कोई लड़ने वाला नहीं है, मैं असहाय हूँ, मेरी सास है, मैं हूँ और मेरे घर में जितने भी बच्चे सब छोटे हैं, कोई लड़ने वाला नहीं है।
ये फैसला जो आज अदालत से मिली है उस पर मुझे पूर्ण विश्वास था और मिला, लेकिन ये उसका अपहरण केस का है। उसके बाद मेरे बेटे का अपहरण न सुनने दिया न देखने दिया।
जजमेंट आया है जो कोर्ट ने दिया है अतीक और दिनेश और उनके वकील का, तो सही है, न्याय हित में है और ऐसे अपराधियों को सजा मिलनी चाहिए और बहुत पहले भी सजा हो जानी चाहिए।
Protests erupted against Atiq at the Prayagraj District Court as lawyers chanted death to Atiq after the verdict was pronounced. Lawyers even got a garland of slippers for Atiq Ahmed. The Yogi Adityanath government has hailed the court decision.
हमने सख्ती से कड़ी कानूनी कार्रवाई की अपराधियों के प्रति और आज हमने उत्तर प्रदेश के समस्त 75 जनपदों में एक भयमुक्त माहौल बनाया है। आज आम जनमानस में एक विश्वास है कि योगी सरकार के रूप में उनको एक ऐसा मुख्यमंत्री मिला है जो सही मायनों में अपराध को उत्तर प्रदेश से मिटाने के लिए ईमानदारी से काम कर रहा है। आज जो प्रयागराज का जो ये फैसला आया है, ये भी उसी कड़ी में एक और उदाहरण है, एक और मिसाल है।
Atiq's conviction in the kidnapping case is his first in over 100 cases lodged against him in nearly 4 decades. And it may not be the last as he faces far more heinous charges. Bureau Report, India Today.
That man Atiq Ahmed, a 5-time MLA from Uttar Pradesh, former member of parliament from Phulpur in Uttar Pradesh. Imagine, for over 4 decades, he ran this empire of crime across Uttar Pradesh. He hasn't been convicted, or he hadn't been convicted in a single case till today. The Mafia Don actually projected himself as a social worker. He was so confident that he is the voice of the minorities across that region. He flourished under the political patronage of several parties, including the Samajwadi Party, where, according to those who oppose him, he was protected from the Gangster Act not once, not twice, but more than 3 times. But the question still remains, in a crime career that spanned 4 decades. Who all shielded Atiq Ahmed and why?
100 cases, 4 districts, 2 states, no punishment. This is the reality of Atiq Ahmed Khan. No conviction, no punishment till today. Why was Atiq not punished till today? Just like Mukhtar Ansari, who too wasn't convicted for the last 4 decades. Is it because of Akhilesh Yadav's appeasement politics? Is that why Mafia was embraced?
किसने कहा कि वो माफिया डॉन है? ये आप लोगों का दिया हुआ टाइटल है। वो 5 बार के विधायक हैं, सांसद हैं, मैं विधायक रह चुका हूँ। हमारा राजनीतिक परिवार है। जो माफिया डॉन हो उनको डर लगे।
Not mafia, but these hardened criminals think of themselves as social workers and netas. Atiq got an SP ticket in 1996 and became an MLA. In 2004, he was elected as an MP from Phulpur, again on a Samajwadi Party ticket. Similarly, in 2017, Mayawati's BSP gave an elephant ride to Mukhtar Ansari. Atiq has been showered with so much political grace that he was saved from the Gangster Act 3 times under the Akhilesh Yadav regime. But now, times have changed. Criminals and their crimes are not accounted for.
कि माफिया कोई भी हो, सरकार की जीरो टॉलरेंस की नीति है और उन माफियाओं के खिलाफ मिट्टी में मिलाने का काम उनको हमारी सरकार करेगी। पूरी मजबूती के साथ उनसे निपटने का कार्य करेगी।
Atiq Ahmed was charged in 100 cases for over 44 years. But today, he was convicted in the first case for the first time and sentenced to life imprisonment. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, when we spoke to Jaya Pal, she's Umesh Pal's widow. She said a life in prison is not enough. It may be in a case of abduction, but remember, he's also an under trial. Atiq Ahmed is also an under trial in a case of murder of Umesh Pal. Also the case of Raju Pal. Raju Pal is former MLA who had actually defeated Atiq Pal. Now his widow, Pooja Pal, who is a current MLA of the Samajwadi Party, she joins me on the broadcast. पूजा पाल जी, आपका इंडिया टुडे पर स्वागत है। मैं आपसे आज ये समझना चाहता हूं कि अतीक अहमद को उम्र कैद की सजा सुनाई गई है, क्या आप इससे संतुष्ट हैं? हालांकि राजू पाल और उमेश पाल की हत्या जैसे बहुत संगीन आरोप भी अतीक अहमद पर है, और जया पाल जी से जब हमारी बात हो रही थी तो उनका तो कहना है कि मृत्यु दंड मिलना चाहिए।
देखिए, केस तो उनके ऊपर बहुत है और हर तरीके के धाराओं से उनके ऊपर मुकदमा लिप्त है, और ये तो अच्छी बात है कि ये सरकार को सोचना चाहिए कि जब इस तरह के मुकदमे में जजमेंट आ सकते हैं तो इससे भयानक भयानक धाराओं पे भी मुकदमे उनके ऊपर लगे हुए हैं, तो आगे भी हो सकते हैं।
आपने सही कहा कि बहुत ही संगीन धाराओं में मुकदमे उन पर है, जिसमें हत्या की साजिश, अपहरण सब शामिल है। लेकिन पूजा पाल जी, आप खुद समाजवादी पार्टी की विधायक है, और जिस तरह से आपने ये पूरा केस इतने वर्षों तक लड़ा है, 17 वर्ष हो गए उस बात को, क्या आपको अभी भी क्या डर सताता है? क्योंकि उमेश पाल की पत्नी से जब हमने बात की तो उनका तो ये कहना है कि उनको ये डर बहुत सताता है कि ये जो व्यक्ति है अतीक अहमद, ये जेल के अंदर से भी अपना अपराध का साम्राज्य चलाता है, और इसीलिए केवल मृत्यु दंड ही उस डर से बचाव है। क्या आपका भी ये मानना है?
देखिए, पहली बात तो जो अतीक अहमद का जो साम्राज्य है, जो डर है, जो भय है, जो आज 1-2 दशक नहीं कई दशकों से अतीक अहमद ने यहाँ पर अपने नाम से जो लोगों को भयभीत करके रखे हुए थे, उस चीज़ को सब भली भांति जानते हैं। तो इसलिए मैं कहना चाहूँगी कि देखिए, जो मुकदमा लड़ रहा है, क्योंकि अतीक और अतीक के जो लोग हैं और जो उनके भाई हैं, वो प्रयागराज को उन्होंने कैसा बना दिया था और कैसा क्या कर दिया था वो सब अच्छी तरह जानते हैं। तो डर की बात तो है ही है, क्योंकि कोर्ट FIR होना और फिर सब कुछ होना, उसके बाद जब गवाही होती है तो गवाही तक और सजा तक तय हो पाएगा ये मंजिल, ये मायने रखता है। तो सबसे बड़ा ये है कि डर होता है, गवाहों को भी डर लगता है, कोई कांड होता है तो डर लगता है, क्योंकि हम लोगों ने पिछले 18 वर्षों से बहुत संघर्ष किया और इस मुकाम में आने के लिए आप समझ लीजिए ये सजा जो आज हुई है वो एक दिन की मेहनत नहीं है, वो पिछले कई सालों का संघर्ष रहा है हम लोगों का। कि जिस तरह से इनका जो दबाव था, जो भय था, और उसके बावजूद भी जब हम लोग उमेश पाल को गवाही के, जब उमेश पाल जी ने कहा कि मुझे गवाही के लिए मुझे जाना है, आप लोग खड़े रहे मेरे साथ, जब हम लेके गए तो वहां पे भी जब गवाही देने के दौरान पे भी बहुत ज्यादा मतलब सब कुछ हो रहा था, मगर उसके बावजूद भी हम लोग बिना डरे हुए, बिना भय के वहां पे खड़े रहे और गवाही हुई, गवाही कराया गया और आज उसका फल स्वरूप हम लोग को देखने को मिल रहा है कि आज सजा हो गई।
अच्छा, अगर आपको थोड़ा मैं इतिहास में लेकर जाऊं, क्योंकि जब राजूपाल जी की हत्या हुई, आपकी शादी को शायद केवल 8-10 दिन शायद उस समय हुए थे और आपके पति की हत्या कर दी गई। तो आपने न्याय के लिए इतनी लंबी लड़ाई 18 साल तक डर के साए में ये न्याय की लड़ाई आपने लड़ी कैसे?
नहीं, शुरू में तो हम लोगों के साथ भी था, मगर फिर हम लोग को सुरक्षा मिली। उसके बाद फिर यह है कि फोन उनसे तो नहीं, मगर हाँ जैसे कि लोग आ रहे हैं, जान पहचान के हैं, अगल बगल के हैं, तो नहीं गवाही मत दीजिए, क्या करेंगी, दुश्मनी, भाई पति की हत्या हो गई, वो आदमी था वो कुछ नहीं कर पाया, तुम इतने दिन की व्याथा थी, तुम इनके साम्राज्य के बारे में जानती नहीं हो, इनसे लड़ नहीं पाओगी, ऐसे बहुत प्रकार से मतलब चीजों को हम लोग को मोटिवेट और मतलब ऐसा करते थे कि हम लोग टूट जाएं, परेशान हो जाएं, पीछे हट जाएं।
लेकिन आप लेकिन आप डरी नहीं, आप टूटी नहीं। क्या आप हमारे दर्शकों को यह बताना चाहेंगी कि आपको तोड़ने का, आपके मनोबल को तोड़ने का किस तरह से प्रयास किया, किसने किया, किस तरह की बातें होती थी अतीक अहमद और अतीक अहमद के अपराध के साम्राज्य के बारे में? पूजा जी।
नहीं, बिल्कुल, देखिए जब मुझे टूटना था तब तो मैं टूटी नहीं। जब सारे, आप अभी एक इंटरव्यू चल रहा था तो किसी ने कहा कि उस समय तेरा एक दिन में 4 गवाह और इतने दिन में पूरे गवाह मेरे मतलब कि हॉस्टाइल कर दिया गया। उसके बाद ही तो मैं फिर जब मैंने अपने वकील से राय लिया उसके बाद मैं हाई कोर्ट गई, क्योंकि मुझे मालूम था कि यहाँ पे मुझे न्याय नहीं मिलने वाला है। फिर मैं गवाही मतलब कि फिर मैं गई, हाई कोर्ट गई और हाई कोर्ट में अपनी सारी समस्याओं को मैंने रखा और बताया कि ऐसे ऐसे हम लोग के साथ चल रहा है और इस तरह का रहेगा, तो हमारे मुकदमा को पूरा खत्म करने की प्लानिंग की जा रही है कि मुकदमा खत्म हो जाए और राजूपाल को इंसाफ ना मिले और हम लोग ऐसे ही परेशान हो जाए और हम लोग इंसाफ के बिना ही अपने आप को एक ऐसा वो कर लें कि मतलब जिंदगी भर का एक मलाल रहे कि हम लड़ नहीं पाए। तो हम तो उस समय भी लड़े और उसी का नतीजा है जो आज वो जिस भी नजरिए से देखे तो आज वो मुकदमा सामने है और आज वो रिजल्ट सामने दिख रहा है।
जी, लेकिन ये तो केवल एक मामला है, एक मामला, और वो भी अपहरण का। हत्या की साजिश, हत्या की कोशिश, रंगदारी, ऐसे मतलब 100 से ज्यादा मामले अभी भी अतीक अहमद के ऊपर हैं। अगर उनकी पत्नी शाइस्ता परवीन की बात की जाए या उनके बेटे असद की बात की जाए, उमर और बाकी 2 अली, वो तो अभी जेल में ही है। आपका अब लक्ष्य क्या है अगर अतीक अहमद और अपराध के साम्राज्य की बात की जाए, इस कथित अपराध के साम्राज्य की?
उन लोगों के लिए जरूर बताना चाहूंगा जो गरीब होते हैं, जो लाचार होते हैं, जो परेशान रहते हैं, उनके साथ कोई खड़े होने वाला नहीं होता है। तो मैं भी बहुत मैके से भी गरीब परिवार की थी और ससुराल में भी आई, तो यहाँ पे भी राजूपाल जी की बहुत स्थिति अच्छी नहीं थी। वो भी बस ये है कि वो चुनाव लड़ लिए मेहनत से, हिम्मत से, ताकत से, अपने लोगों के उससे जी, और उन्होंने जितना उनका वो था लड़ने के बाद फिर उनकी बहुत ही कम उसमें हत्या हो जाती है। और आप समझ लीजिए हम लोग के घर की स्थिति ये थी कि आप समझ लीजिए मेरे पति अपने लिए एक भी, अपने परिवार के लिए एक भी कुछ बनाए नहीं थे। बस उनका जीवन में ये था कि जितना कर सको जनता की कर सको, अपने गांव मोहल्ले की लड़कियों बच्चियों शादी ब्याह कर सको। और आप समझ लीजिए जब मेरे पति की हत्या हुई तो आज मैं बताना चाहती हूँ मेरे घर में मात्र 8,000 रुपए, और उस 8,000 में सोचिए कि हमने अतीक अहमद से कैसे लड़े होंगे, वो आप सोच सकते हैं। मगर सबसे बड़ी बात होती है हौसला, जज्बा, ताकत। जब आप जिद्दी बनोगे, जब आप ये सोच लोगे कि नहीं हमें लड़ना ही और हमारा कुछ है नहीं है, तब आप कोई भी लक्ष्य को पा सकते हैं। वही मैंने लक्ष्य बनाया। और जब मेरे पति खत्म हुए, मेरे शादी के 9 दिन के बाद मेरे पति खत्म हो गए, तो उस दिन मैं सब लोगों से कह दी थी कि मेरा आदमी खत्म हो गया, मैं भी खत्म हो गई, मैं बस जिंदा लाश हूँ, और इस लाश को सिर्फ एक ही काम करना है कि अतीक अहमद को बर्बाद करना है। जिस तरह से मेरी जिंदगी को खराब की है, वो भी एक टाइम सोचेंगे कि राजू, जो उन्होंने घर में बैठ के सोच लिया कि राजूपाल की हत्या करा लेंगे तो उसके पीछे कोई अब लड़ने वाला नहीं है, उसका भाई नहीं है, उसकी बहन नहीं है, तो ये वो सोच लें कि उनकी कोई नहीं थी, मगर उस आदमी ने अपने लिए एक छोड़ के गए थे जो एक मिसाल कायम करेगी। तो बस मैंने उसी चीज को वो किया, और मैंने एक जो हमारा लक्ष्य था उसको मैंने लक्ष्य को बांधा कि हमें सिर्फ अपने लिए लड़ना है, राजूपाल जी को इंसाफ दिलाना है, और अतीक अहमद का जो इलाहाबाद में जो नाम लेने से लोग डरते हैं, तो एक दिन वो भी खत्म करना है।
जी, आप हमारे साथ जुड़ी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। So what next for Atiq Ahmed? He will now be sent back to Ahmedabad Sabarmati jail. That journey incidentally has begun. This is the Supreme Court order. But this journey from Gujarat to Uttar Pradesh, now his journey back to Gujarat, it was full of suspense and drama. We bring you this report.
The wheels of justice have begun to turn. 1,300-kilometer journey from Ahmedabad to Prayagraj has ended in the conviction of Don Atiq Ahmed. He feared that he will be killed in an encounter. But he lives, only to spend the rest of his life in jail. On Monday, all eyes were on this convoy. Over 24 hours, 3 states, 9 vehicles and 45 security personnel. That was Atiq's journey from Ahmedabad Sabarmati jail to Prayagraj's Naini prison. The UP police could have just booked a train coach. The money spent on bringing the Don to UP would have been less. The suspense too would have been far lesser. Through the 1,300-kilometer journey, the van carrying Atiq Ahmed suffered many jerks, and every time the brakes were applied, Atiq's heart must have been in his mouth. Especially in Madhya Pradesh's Shivpuri, when the jail van could have easily overturned when a cow came in front of it. The cow got hit by the van, but Atiq survived. About 2.5 years ago, on July 8, 2020, Vikas Dubey's car was also speeding on the road in a similar way. A similar convoy of journalists was tracking him. Vikas Dubey was being brought from Ujjain to Kanpur. Just like Atiq's convoy, Vikas Dubey also crossed Shivpuri in Madhya Pradesh and moved to Jhansi and Banda. Atiq must have thought about Vikas Dubey through this 300-kilometer route. Vikas Dubey had almost reached his final destination, Kanpur, before his vehicle suddenly overturned. Atiq's journey, however, continued. Around the same time he was taken out of Ahmedabad Sabarmati jail on Sunday, Atiq reached Prayagraj's Naini prison and he was alive. On Tuesday morning, Atiq was taken out of Naini jail. Main accused in the murder of Umesh Pal, the court was to pronounce its verdict. Atiq and his brother allegedly kidnapped Umesh Pal on February 28, 2006, along with their henchmen. After this, Umesh Pal was taken to one of Atiq's offices and beaten up throughout the night. He was warned against testifying in the murder of MLA Raju Pal and was let off on March 1, 2006. Convicted after 17 years and sentenced to life in prison, Atiq will have to return to Ahmedabad Sabarmati jail because of the Supreme Court decision to keep him away from Uttar Pradesh. With Arvind Ojha and Santosh Sharma and Gopi Gangar from Ahmedabad and Samad Srivastav in Prayagraj, Bureau Report, India Today.
Incidentally, the Uttar Pradesh police now want to question Atiq Ahmed in connection with the Umesh Pal murder case. And his son, he's still absconding. His wife, Shaista, she's absconding. So is Guddu Muslim, the bomber in that incident. And we'll be tracking that story very closely. I'll get you much more on that. But for the moment, I want to take you to the other big story. And this is Prime Minister Narendra Modi's scathing and frontal attack on the Congress party. The Prime Minister equated the Congress party with a party of dynasts. He spoke of the 1984 anti-Sikh riots and of dishonesty. Now, he referred to the opposition's united front against the government, where the opposition has claimed that central agencies are being misused. The Prime Minister hit back, calling them a Bhrashtachari Bachao Abhiyan. Let's listen in to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
देश की जनता देख रही है कि पहले की सरकारों ने किस तरह भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ कार्रवाई के नाम पर केवल खानापुरी की थी। लेकिन पिछले 9 साल में भाजपा सरकार ने भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ जो अभियान चलाया, उसने आज भ्रष्टाचार और भ्रष्टाचारियों दोनों की जड़ें हिला दी है। पहले के मुकाबले 2 गुने से ज्यादा केस रिकॉर्ड किए गए हैं और 15 गुना ज्यादा लोगों को गिरफ्तार किया गया है। कांग्रेस शासन के दौरान बैंकों को जमकर के लूटा। बैंकों का करीब 22,000 करोड़ रुपए का नुकसान करके ये लोग विदेश भाग गए। आज भाजपा सरकार ने इन लोगों की करीब करीब 20,000 करोड़ रुपए की संपत्ति जब्त करवा दी है।
So the Prime Minister appears to have set the template for the elections in Karnataka, the attacks, the counter-attacks, and we'll be reporting on that story very closely. But that is all I have time for on India First this evening. Many thanks for watching. Business Today comes up next. Stay with us.
तो पहले अब उनकी माफी होगी या पहले जेपीसी बैठेगी?
अरे ऐसा है सुधीर भाई, इसकी चर्चा स्पीकर की उपस्थिति में करनी चाहिए, दोनों दलों ने मिलकर। चले, मैं तो आज ही कह देता हूं कि स्पीकर साहब के पास जाकर चर्चा करिए, आपके कार्यक्रम के माध्यम से ही कह देता हूं।
been a very, very eventful last weekend for you, and I'm sure especially for you, your phone wouldn't have stopped ringing for a whole lot of people would have been wanting to understand from you the impact of all of this. So I wanted to take first your reaction. What was your first thought when you heard about this amendment in the finance bill? And as per your understanding, how will this really change life for AMCs at large, and what will be the impact of this on the total assets under management for AMCs?
Yeah, no, thanks Sakshi for having part of the show today. I think first reaction as we came to know on Thursday night that there's an amendment that is being now introduced in the finance bill. Of course, all of us were taken aback and surprised that how come this has all of a sudden has come when it was not being part of the budgetary provisions. And then of course we try to understand what is the background from which it has come, and is there anything that can be done by way of making representation through AMFI as well as SAB. While that's an effort that we are immediately getting into action in terms of what we can do. But having said that, then as the amendment got passed in the parliament, then actually we have to make an assumption that that the amendment has now become final, and therefore we have to live with for the time being what has been presented. I think what came as a surprise is given the fact that Indian mutual fund industry have been growing at a very steady state of growth, and having close to about 16 lakh crores coming in the fixed income out of the 40 lakh crore that the Indian industry has been managing. And the mutual fund also been playing the role of one, channelizing the savings into the capital market, both in equity as well as in fixed income. At the same time, provides a greater depth to the corporate bond market in the country. And we have been a provider of another source of financing for most of the company needs, and we have been doing. Therefore, these taxations introduction was a bit surprise for us, given the fact that the role that we are playing actually benefit both investors on the one side and the capital market on the other side, and third is the corporate bond market development on the other side. Therefore, we are a bit surprised, but anyway, government has gone by that assumption that we need to have a uniform taxations across all products, across all industry players. I think probably the finance minister has been living up to her own the effort that she is taking for simplified tax structure. So going by that, I think they seems to have taken it in the final bill when they were getting amended.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Hello and welcome. You're with us here on Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. Here are the top stories. From new income tax regime to no LTCG benefit on debt mutual funds, India will see 9 major direct tax changes from April 1st, 2023. Adani Group stocks hit hard. Group market cap drops 80,000 crores to under 9 lakh crore in 3 days. EPFO raises interest rates to 8.15% from 8.1% earlier on employees' provident fund deposits for 22-23. The deadline to link PAN with Aadhaar has been extended to June 30th, 2023. World Bank in its latest report has warned that global economy's growth rate is set to plunge to a 3-decade low. Taxpayers are set to witness major changes from April 1st, 2023, starting with the new income tax regime to no LTCG benefit to debt mutual funds. There are 9 key changes that will impact income taxpayers and investors. Here's the report.
Now I come to what everyone is waiting for. Personal income tax. I have 5 major announcements to make in this regard. These primarily benefit our hard-working middle class. First one concerns rebate. Currently, those with income up to 5 lakh do not pay any income tax in both old and new regimes. I propose to increase the rebate limit to 7 lakhs.
These lines from Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman made headlines in India. In a budget speech on February 1st, Finance Minister laid down the financial plans for country for 2022 and 23 and announced significant changes in the tax rules. Those will be applicable from April 1st. These changes include the new income tax regime and absence of some tax benefits on debt mutual funds. Here's more on the changes taxpayers and investors should note. For starters, the new income tax regime will be the default regime. Taxpayers will be given a choice to choose their regime. In case they don't, the income tax will be calculated as per the new regime. Tax rebate under Section 87A will be hiked to taxable income level of Rs 7 lakh from Rs 5 lakh. And the amount of tax rebate has doubled to 25,000 rupees. There are also changes in income tax slabs. The Union Budget 2023 tweaked the tax slabs under the new income tax regime. There will be no tax if you earn up to Rs 3 lakh. From 3 to 6 lakh rupees, tax rate is set at 5%. And for Rs 6 lakh to Rs 9 lakh slab, tax will be 10%. And 15% tax will be levied on earnings of 9 to 12 lakh. Next slab from 15 lakh will be taxed at 20%. Investors should also note that the long-term capital gains provision and 20% tax with indexation benefit will not be available on debt mutual funds. The existing investments will continue to get this benefit. From April 1st, 2023, proceedings from life insurance premiums over the annual premium of Rs 5 lakh would be taxed. Starting this Saturday, the leave encashment allowance for non-government employees will be exempted up to Rs 25 lakh. Earlier, it was just Rs 3 lakh. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman during a budget speech said that there will not be any capital gain tax if physical gold is converted to an electronic gold receipt and vice versa from April 1st, 2023. The budget also reduced the highest surcharge rate from 37% to 25%, high net worth individuals who would choose the new tax regime.
Is regarding the highest tax rate, which in our country is 42.74%. This is among the highest in the world. I propose to reduce the highest surcharge. I propose to reduce the highest surcharge rate from 37% to 25% in the new tax regime.
Finally, the taxation of market-linked debentures will be short-term capital assets. Market-linked debentures are non-convertible in nature, where the returns are not fixed but linked to the market. With this rule, grandfathering of early investments will end and the impact on the mutual fund industry will be slightly negative. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
Retirement Body Fund, Employees Provident Fund Organization, has fixed the Employees Provident Fund or EPF for the current financial year 22-23 to 8.15%. The fresh rate is only marginally higher from 8.1% last year, which was the lowest in almost 4 decades. This comes as a disappointment to EPFO subscribers who've seen the interest rate decline sharply over the past couple of years. According to the Ministry of Labour and Employment, EPFO has added 1.48 million subscribers in January this year. There are over 67.8 million members contributing to EPF who will get the benefit of the marginal hike. The board's recommendation will involve distribution of more than 90,000 crore rupees to EPFO members. While Indian markets ended the range-bound session lower ahead of expiry tomorrow, it was the Adani Group stocks which were hit hard. After recovering sharply since February 27th low, shares of the Adani Group companies saw an 8.23% erosion in market capitalization in a fresh bout of selling. In the 3 sessions to Tuesday, as the group market cap dropped 80,000 crores to under 9 lakh crores as compared with 9.7 lakh crores on 23rd of March. The worst performing Adani Group stock was NDTV, which plunged 13.7% in the 3-day period. It was followed by Adani Power, down 13.59%, and Adani Wilmar, down 12.6%. Ambuja Cements was also down 3.5%, Adani Green Energy, 4.78%, and Transmission, about 6%. The group shares fell amid reports that raised questions about whether the group actually has repaid debts worth $2.15 billion. The Adani Group had earlier this month announced completion of the full prepayment of margin-linked share-backed financing ahead of the committed timeline of March 31st. We're almost at the end of the financial year, and despite a rather eventful one, Indian markets have largely outperformed the world. My colleague Sakshi Batra joins us for a roundup of the year that was.
Well, Abba, what an eventful financial year this has been so far. Everything that could perhaps go wrong did for the Indian markets. And we had COVID, Russia-Ukraine war, the European energy crisis, globally a red-hot inflation, and the aggressive rate hikes. And also, the global markets did feel the pressure of all of this and more in this financial year. From the US markets to Japanese markets to China to India, most of the world markets corrected in financial year 2023. Let's take a look at the worst performers, in this year. We did have the US markets falling the most, 17.2% right there, 12% of a fall for S&P 500. India was somewhere in between with 2.7% cuts, and the least fall was recorded in the Chinese market. The Shanghai market corrected by 0.2% this time around. Now, coming to the Indian markets specifically, it was the broader markets that underperformed this year, with the small caps correcting the most, over 6%. But if you were someone smart who invested heavily in banks, you would have made good money. The Nifty Bank really outperformed this year with over 8% gains. Now, we also saw no support really coming in from the FIIs, who really sold nearly 40,000 crore rupees worth of stocks in the Indian equities. However, on the other hand, we did see domestic investors that supported, and how, as they invested over 2.5 lakh crore rupees in FY23. Now, when we also talk about the sectors, it was the capital goods, the FMCG sector, and the auto sector which actually came out as clear winners in FY23, clocking in gains anywhere between 15 to 23%. So that's the kind of gains that you saw. On the other hand, IT, realty and metal sectors lost most of their sheen, as they were the weakest this time and fell anywhere between 16% to 24% this time around. Now, among the index movers and shakers, the big surprise came in from the top Nifty gainer this time around. Any guesses? Well, it was this stock of ITC. The most memed stock perhaps of the past was the top Nifty gainer, followed by M&M and Britannia. On the other hand, you did see IT majors, Wipro, the pharma major Divis Laboratories, and the metal counter Hindalco that were the top Nifty losers, and saw sharp cuts of anywhere between 31 to 39% this year. It was indeed very difficult to make money as an equity investor in FY23. But if you were a smart investor, there were enough opportunities. Now, some of the dark horses from the broader markets gave you multi-bagger returns of 100 to even 160%. Clearly, a year where individual stocks made investors richer than index investors.
And now, to understand what FY24 has in store for investors, for this, we're joined by Ashish Somaya, CEO, White Oak Capital. What do markets hold for us as we head into a new financial year? What is the second half of the year particularly going to look like in 2023? Let me welcome in Ashish Somaya, who's joining us to give us a perspective. Ashish, Given the turbulence and the volatility we've been seeing, whether it be with the global backdrop and all of the mixed cues coming in there, or even whether it be certain triggers back home, it has been quite an uncertain time for markets. What are the expectations you have from the new financial year?
I believe that the second half of 2023 is likely to be much better than what we've seen for all of 2022 or even the first 3 months of 2023. I think the uncertainty or whatever you described, in terms of global factors, more specifically the US Fed stance, likelihood of them stopping the interest rate hikes. And I think, some kind of settling down as far as US financial market conditions are concerned. I think next 2 to 3 months will still have a lot to watch out for. But if you really ask me, I believe that the second half of 2023 is likely to be much better than the last 12 to 15 months.
All right, so you're actually expecting it to be better. Ashish, it's interesting because we're also, with this heightened rate hike scenario, do you see any kind of delayed reaction coming in for Indian markets, whether it be to news from overseas or whether it be in terms of the kind of pinch we're going to feel on the back of those heightened rates?
No, see, I think we've already been through a lot because, if you really look at it, where did all of this start? If you look at end of 2021, first we heard about, the Chinese tech sector kind of collapsing and Chinese real estate and those kinds of things. That is where the market turmoil actually started. And then, January, February of 2022, we saw, the war starting and then, commodity prices, inflation, US interest rates, etc. Long story short, all through this period, our fundamentals and our domestic performance has been relatively stronger. In the last 18 months, while index has gone nowhere, the fact is that at an index level, the earnings per share has gone up by about 20%. And if I talk like people like us, who don't look at just earnings per share, we look at free cash flow. Portfolios have seen free cash flow rise by about 30-40%. So I think our fundamentals and domestic conditions have been relatively stronger. But we have actually been seeing that our market is going nowhere purely on account of external macro conditions. And I think that the next couple of months or next 2-3 months, like I mentioned, is going to be like a culmination of sorts of all those external disturbances. And I think the worst will hopefully be behind us. That's what we're likely to witness.
Great. So what's a good strategy to look at right now in terms of investing, whether it's looking for value in the market or whether it's themes that you feel will continue or grow stronger in the second half of the year?
Yeah, I think what's top of mind for me right now is, typical investor behavior, because what happens is if you look at, say, I'm part of the mutual fund industry, and if you look at equity mutual funds and the flows or the confidence with which people were investing in equity funds, I think the peak was 2021. So if you look at end of 2021, in any given month, we were witnessing as high as 60 to 70,000 crores of rupees being deployed into India's equity mutual funds. And that was on the back of very strong performance in calendar 20 and calendar 2021. Now, 2022 obviously has not been a good year. And, for factors we discussed, people haven't made much of a return. So typically what happens is that if you have a year or 18 months where people don't make return, then their level of confidence or their motivation levels to keep investing kind of goes down. And the number which was 65-70,000 crores a month has now dropped to about 30-35,000 crores per month. So there's a 50% decline in how much people were investing in stock markets or especially in equity mutual funds. Now, my past experience tells me that your current level of confidence in investing has nothing to do with what kind of return you will make in future. In fact, if there's anything, it is inversely proportional. So people feel very confident when the recent return has been good, which means probability of return in near future tends to go down. Whereas people feel very, very underconfident when the recent return is bad. And from that point, actually, the probability is that you will make very good return.
All right, Ashish, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us and chatting with us today.
Thank you.
The global economy's growth rate is set to plunge to a 3-decade low of 2.2% a year by 2030. The World Bank has warned in a new report, adding that nearly all economic forces that powered progress and prosperity over the last 3 decades were fading. A lost decade could be in the making for the global economy. World Bank's chief economist Delh has said as a result, between 2022 and 2030, average global potential GDP growth is expected to decline by roughly a third from the rate that prevailed in the first decade of this century to 2.2% a year. The World Bank added, for developing economies, the report said the decline will be equally steep from 6% a year between 2000 and 2010 to 4% a year over the remainder of this decade. These declines would be much steeper in the event of a global financial crisis or recession. In January this year, the IMF said the global economy was poised to slow before rebounding next year. Let's take a quick break. Back with news on whether the government is on course to meet the disinvestment target for the fiscal. With FY23 set to end this Friday, the central government is expected to achieve its revised target of 93,000 crore rupees for disinvestment proceeds, including dividends. My colleague Karishma Sudani joining us with more on this. Karishma, how's the graph looking, especially with key stake sales that have been in the pipeline?
Well, absolutely. Run up to the next fiscal year, we are talking about the much-awaited disinvestment target. But now, if you see it from a broader point of view, it actually is more of a situation that's well balanced when you talk about between dividends and divestment receipts. In fact, while the dividends have surpassed its revised target of 43,000 crore that government had estimated in budget, it's the divestment receipts which are still lying low at close to 34,000 crore versus 50,000 crore that government was confident of achieving. It's of course because of the downfall that it had to see because of the market sentiments with the LIC, with IDBI, and also what recently happened with Hindustan Zinc.
Right. Karishma, what's the update on IDBI Bank particularly? And, give us a bit more detail. What's the centre's plan of action there?
Well, right, debunking all media reports, Deepam had in fact last week mentioned that the process is on track, and we have learned exclusively from our Ministry of Finance sources that financial bids for IDBI Bank could be called in by June. In fact, they're looking to announce it any time between May and June, from 2 to 3 months from now, and post that, of course, parallelly security clearances will be taken. Now, this is first of its kind transaction. Since it involves a bank, it will require a fit or proper criteria to be given by Reserve Bank of India before Deepam opens the data room for bidders to, of course, access all the information. The government and LIC both are looking to sell close to 60% stake together, 30 each, and they're pretty confident that in the coming fiscal they'll be able to execute this transaction.
All right, Karishma, thanks so much for joining us with that. Now, the process for disinvestment of the Ashok has moved a step ahead, with the government beginning the preparation of model concession agreement for the iconic Central Delhi landmark property. BTTV's Chetan Bhutani joins us with more on this exclusive story. Chetan, what's the latest in what's been a long-drawn saga with regards to Ashok Hotel?
Well, absolutely. It's it's literally a long drawn saga, 2023, but now seems to be the year when ITDC's iconic property, the Ashok in Delhi, goes on a long lease for about 60 years. Sources have in fact told Business Today TV that the government has in fact expedited the process, and the structural audit of both Ashok Hotel and Samrat Hotel have begun and will be completed in 6 months. Sources also confirming to Business Today TV that the process of formulating the model concession agreement, which literally forms the backbone of any disinvestment, has also begun. And the day it receives green light from the Union Cabinet, the government will call